Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the New York City Council hearing on the Committee on General Welfare. At this time, please silence all electronics and do not approach the dais. I repeat, please do not approach the dais. If you are testifying today, make sure you have filled out a slip with the Sergeant at Arms in the reception area. Chair Ayala, you may begin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Ayala, and I am the Deputy Speaker of the New York City Council and the Chair of the General Welfare Committee. We are here today to hold an oversight hearing on the administration of the city's City FEPS program. We are also hearing several bills. Intro 1366, sponsored by Councilmember Yusuf Salam. Intro 1430, sponsored by Councilmember Tiffany Caban. And intros 1458, 1459, and 1477, sponsored by Councilmember Gail Brewer. All of these bills are related to making the application process for benefits, including rental assistance vouchers, easier to navigate and more transparent. The sponsors will be speaking in further detail about their bills shortly, hopefully. As this will likely be our committee's last oversight hearing this legislative session, I can think of no more important topic than City FEPS to close off the session. It is no surprise that affordable housing is at the top of the list of issues New Yorkers struggle with. Our homelessness crisis is ballooning. As policymakers, we need to be thoughtful about our approach to support those who are at risk of homelessness and experiencing homelessness. To our outgoing mayor, that does not mean that we put forward every possible roadblock that our partners in government make to strengthen the social safety net. What it means is working together. The city has a long history of developing housing voucher programs to support New Yorkers into stable, permanent housing. In 2018, then Mayor de Blasio consolidated several such voucher programs to create what is now known as the City FEPS program. City FEPS assists households in the community who are at risk of homelessness or are referred by specific city agencies to avert the need to enter the shelter system. City FEPS also helps households who are already in the city's shelter system to obtain permanent housing. This program not only provides individuals with vital resources to secure housing, but also provides individuals the opportunity to work with specialists after securing housing to ensure that the housing is maintained and that they do not enter back into homelessness or become at risk of eviction. Housing vouchers have proven to be an effective solution to addressing homelessness and affordability. Rental assistance programs in fiscal year 2025 assisted 14,065 households or 30,777 individuals in New York City through April of this year. 87.4 of those were with City FEPS vouchers. While City FEPS has the potential to serve as a sustainable solution to the economic crisis households and individuals continue to experience in New York City, it is undeniable that there are practical challenges. We have heard that voucher programs, including City FEPS, can be plagued with administrative issues, delays, and complications such as source of income discrimination that make the voucher difficult to access and use. The General Welfare Committee hopes that this hearing can provide a forum to understand the administration of the City FEPS voucher program, including successes, obstacles, and lessons learned. We recognize that several improvements have been made to the administration of this program in recent years, and we also celebrate those improvements. We look forward to hearing from representatives of the administration about the administration of the City FEPS program, including current data on how the program is benefiting New Yorkers and where the potential pitfalls lie in ensuring that is effectively and efficiently implemented. Separately but relatedly, we recognize that the City FEPS program continues to be the subject of ongoing litigation. We are here today not to discuss the litigation, but to rather understand the way the program is being implemented and has been implemented since before the City Council passed the legislation that is subject to ongoing litigation. We thank members of the administration for speaking to these issues today. I also want to thank the advocates and the individuals who are here today that can speak to their direct experiences with City FEPS. We also will be hearing from several voucher holders today, and I encourage members of the administration to remain in the room to hear their testimony. And finally, I want to thank the General Welfare Committee who helped to prepare this hearing and all hearings. They are a fantastic crew, and I have been very humbled and proud to work alongside them. They have become family and have made this experience so unforgettable. So thank you, guys. You can give them a little round of applause, maybe. Amenta Kilowan, Senior Counsel, Nina Rosenberg, Senior Policy Analyst, Justin Campos, Policy Analyst, Julia Haramis, Unit Head, Faria Rahman, Finance Analyst, Elizabeth Childers Garcia, Finance Analyst, and finally my staff, Elsie Encarnacion, Chief of Staff. I don't, oh, Councilmember Salam. I'll now turn it over to Councilmember Salam to give remarks on his bill.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair Ayala, for bringing my bill intro 1366 to a vote today. And my sincere thanks to our committee staff, to all my colleagues who have co-sponsored this legislation, and to my Budget and Legislative Director, Mufazzal Hussein, for his leadership and thoughtful brainstorming in shaping this bill. Intro 1366 is about something very simple, but deeply impactful: accessibility. For too long, applying for benefits and services has required children, older adults, and people with disabilities to make repeated trips to DSS and HRA centers, or to navigate the slow and uncertain process of mailing forms back and forth. For many families, that means taking time off from work, securing transportation, arranging childcare, or physically enduring the process that should not be so demanding. What this bill does is bring our benefits system into the 21st century. It requires the department to create web-based application forms mirroring paper applications, interactive, accessible, and complementable from the comfort of one's own home. Whether you are a caregiver applying on behalf of a child, an older adult with mobility challenges, or a disabled New Yorker who simply cannot stand in line for hours, this bill makes it possible to apply with ease, independence, and safety. And importantly, we are not removing any existing options. Paper applications, mailed forms, fax forms, and in-person submissions will all remain in place. What we are doing is adding an additional pathway, an option that expands access rather than restricts it. Our social safety net should not be difficult to reach. With this bill, we make it more humane, more efficient, and more equitable for New Yorkers who rely on it the most. Thank you.
Thank you. And before we move on to Councilmember Brewer to give remarks on her bills, I want to recognize that we've also been joined by Council Members Osei and Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for all your leadership on city FEPS. And I have three bills. 1458 streamlines inspections. I know we've all had individuals who contacted our office because a missing fire escape, a dirty stove, they're all treated the same. They trigger a full reinspection, delaying the move-ins. Sometimes owners say, goodbye, I'm not renting. It establishes clear standards that distinguish major safety hazards from minor issues, allowing small repairs to be fixed or on site or through an online portal so it doesn't delay the rental. This cuts down unnecessary re-inspections and clears apartments faster so that move-in can take place. Intro 1477, 15-day application response. Families can't wait forever, weeks, months, to find out whether their application is approved. That uncertainty leads to missed opportunities and extended shelter time. It requires the Department of Social Services to respond within 15 days, whether it's an approval, a denial, or where are your missing documents. This brings predictability, and fairness to a system that impacts some of our most vulnerable households. And finally, 1459, transparency on lease-up time. As you know, I'm a huge data nut. We can't fix what we don't measure. This intro mandates annual reporting on lease-up times, how long it actually takes for a family to go from voucher to keys. It'll identify bottlenecks and help us to hold the city accountable. I hate asking more work on behalf of DSS, but this, I think, lease-up time will give us the data we need. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And seeing no other members, I would now like to turn it over to our Committee Councilman Kilowan to swear in the members of the administration.
Good morning, everyone. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Andrea Reed. Thank you. Christopher Gonzalez.
I do.
Thank you. And Risa Henderson.
I do.
Thank you all so much, and you may begin when ready.
Good morning, Deputy Speaker Ayala and the members of the Committee on General Welfare. My name is Risa Henderson, and I serve as the Chief Housing Officer at the Human Resources Administration, HRA. Joining me today are Christopher Gonzalez, Chief Strategy Officer at the Department of Social Services, DSS, and Andrea Reed, Executive Deputy Commissioner of Housing Services Administration at HRA. Thank you for holding today's hearing on the CityFEPS program. CityFEPS is a city fighting homelessness and eviction prevention supplement. Today, CityFEPS is the second largest rental subsidy program in the nation. More than 60,000 households, made up of more than 136,000 New Yorkers, are using CityFEPS to support their housing needs. Eligibility for CityFEPS depends on a variety of criteria, including household income, housing situation, and history of homelessness. CityFEPS is one component of a larger strategy to provide an integrated continuum of client services and a path to sustainability for low-income New Yorkers. We continue to see that path as rooted in three pillars. 1, streamlining access to social services. 2, addressing homelessness and housing instability. And 3, creating economic stability. Though our focus today is on CityFEPS, I do want to highlight our vision placing CityFEPS in a broader context in assisting the more than 3 million New Yorkers we serve. In addition to CityFEPS, the New York State Family Homelessness and Eviction Prevention Supplement, StateFEPS, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, also known as Section 8, and the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, and the New York City Housing Authority, Nycc Housing, all serve as important tools in providing crucial aid and support to New Yorkers. In the broader policy context, it is also important to recognize that other levels of government share the responsibility to devote resources to support housing stability broadly and through rental assistance in particular. As Commissioner Park has related to the Council, we underscore the need for further investment by our New York State and federal government partners. Their shared investment in housing subsidies is essential to ensuring New Yorkers at risk of housing instability receive as many resources as possible. DSS has done significant work to strengthen CityFEPS, but it is also important to note that this work is happening in a context that presents numerous ongoing challenges. The New York City vacancy rate of 1.4% is the lowest since 1968. Furthermore, the vacancy rate is lower than 1.4% for affordable rental units. For households searching for units under $1,100, the vacancy rate was 0.39%. Those vacancy rates make it extremely difficult to secure affordable housing, even with a voucher. We recognize the urgent need to sustain efforts on the housing supply side of the challenge. Even as a record number of New Yorkers are using CityFEPS to pay their rent, there are more than 10,000 households with CityFEPS vouchers in shelter looking for housing. In the face of these challenges, the city and DSS continue to innovate and partner with city agencies in mobilizing resources to assist our clients. Despite the challenges, our city's investment in rental assistance has proven successful. FY24 saw over 12,000 households permanently housed through CityFEPS. FY25 saw 15,000 households permanently housed with CityFEPS. Counting by households served since FY22, CityFEPS has seen more than 200% growth in the program. During the Adams administration, the program has grown even more rapidly with a 120% increase in the number of households using the voucher and nearly five-fold increase in funding from the program. FY21 at $253 million to FY25 at $1.1 billion. In FY25, CityFEPS continued to be the primary driver for shelter move-outs, accounting for 2/3 of subsidized exits. In sum, CityFEPS continues to be the most valuable, beneficial, and significant resource supporting shelter move-outs. CityFEPS outcomes serve as a testament to the steps forward that DSS has taken in expanding access to city FEPs and expediting the process of vouchers by streamlining systems, strengthening oversight, and implementing a technological overhaul to enhance efficiencies. The average days from submission to approval has come down from a high of 33 days during 2024 to a recent low of around 23 days, which represents a decline of 33%. This progress has been the result of deliberate, intentional work. For example, we established a concierge unit as a pilot program in the last year. The concierge unit focuses on working with shelters to assist in meeting move-out goals. The team engages with providers both on-site and off-site to share resources and best practices in the rehousing process. Sending support staff to shelters and providing concierge support has yielded promising results thus far, with the first 2 cohorts of participating shelters showing increases in subsidized exits. In the first 2 cohorts, we saw an improvement in total placements for a majority of shelters that participated in the program. We aim to strengthen the unit in the future. With regard to the clearance process, which looks at administrative records, example deeds and violations, in advance of a package being processed, we have taken steps to make this component of the larger process move more quickly. For example, instead of simply failing offers that have incorrect owner information, we can now provide the correct information to the submitter and offer guidance. Through taking various measures to further automate the clearance process and linking the process to tools like HPD Online, we have made progress in expediting this step in the larger workflow. Another area we further refine with an eye towards expediting the process is processing cash assistance applications for city FEPs. Previously, a household receiving cash assistance would have their city FEPs application sent for rebudgeting. That is processing and examination of household income information, for example, pay stubs, potentially serving as a site of delay. Now we are able to use the New York State Welfare Management System, WMS, and need not rebudget cash assistance cases. Cumulatively, taking steps like bolstering providers' capacity to engage the system with a concierge unit, streamlining the clearance process, and taking advantage of WMS where practicable results in fewer obstacles delaying the overall process timeline. Home base serves as a key pathway for access to city FEPs in the community. HRA oversees 26 home base sites across the 5 boroughs. The home base program provides various homelessness prevention services as well as aftercare support services to families and individuals exiting shelter and moving to permanent housing. New Yorkers may be eligible for home base if they are at imminent risk of entering the New York City shelter system, are low income, and want to remain stably housed in their community. Once in the program, dedicated home-based staff are available in each borough to evaluate a household's specific needs and offer supports, such as services to prevent eviction, assistance obtaining public benefits, emergency rental assistance, utilities and rent payments, support to address arrears, short-term financial assistance, educational, job placement assistance, and help relocating. Part of City FEP's success rates stem from DSS, HRA, DHS provision of assistance to clients in their search to find permanent housing from day one. Beginning at the point of shelter entry through the issuance of the shopping letter and to the point of move out from shelter, our dedicated DHS and provider staff support clients in their housing search process. The process includes case management, connecting clients with the tools to obtain employment, the work of shelter housing specialists engaged in finding apartment leads, and the work of the HRA apartment search team and the public engagement unit make apartments available to all shelter providers. We are focused on working together to make sure subsidy applications are accurate and processed efficiently. In addition to the work of our staff, I would also like to recognize the enterprising work of providers, advocates, and all other stakeholder partners in this process. Further, I would like to recognize the strong determination of our clients in being absolutely central to taking that next step in their path to housing stability. At DSS, we understand the need to make the system of social services as navigable for clients and those assisting our clients as possible. We work to connect every New Yorker with the benefits and social services for which they're eligible. We also have to recognize that the needs and eligibility of households vary. For instance, eligibility for assistance for a given program for a veteran may differ from that of someone needing supportive housing. There will be documentation requirements involved because we are working to link people with the resources that serve their individual circumstances best, and because we're working with the state and federal partners with their own requirements. We continue to work to reduce administrative burden borne by clients as much as we can by designing innovative systems like Access HRA and Current NYC. We're also in the process of creating sensible workflows and automated linkages that assist our clients, our community partners, and our staff through the process. We recognize that doing so eases the burden and reduces the stress that our clients face as they endeavor to secure an affordable apartment in the housing market where there is a short supply. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize the Council's June 2025 report, which focuses on process improvements and streamlining access. We remain committed to working closely with the Council and hearing your ideas on creating efficiencies and improving our service delivery. When assessing changes, we keep in mind that regulatory, operational, timeline, and cost considerations all need to be taken into account. That includes taking into consideration where our New York State oversight body, the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, OTDA, has offered direction on where federal authorities have issued mandates, where a given change may require significant technology investment, where stakeholders flag that a timeline may not be realistic, or where a change may be cost prohibitive. Turning now to the legislation being heard today. Intro 1366, sponsored by Councilmember Salam, would require the Department of Social Services, DSS, to create web forms for any forms that must be completed by an applicant to apply for benefits and services through DSS. The web forms would allow applicants to directly input information and electronically sign applications and forms online. DSS would be required to continue to accept paper applications and forms that are mailed, faxed, or delivered in person. We are supportive of the aims of this legislation. That is why Access HRA, our online benefits portal and mobile app for New York City residents, has served as a critical tool in connecting New Yorkers to benefits. We appreciate the constructive dialogue we have had with the Council thus far on Intro 1366 and look forward to continuing to share our insights about our processes to use technology at our disposal to link New Yorkers to benefits. Note that our systems operate in the context of New York State and federal laws, regulations, and directives on various aspects of the benefits administration process, including applications, processing, security, and confidentiality. DSS works with the guardrails that state and federal oversight bodies have established. In addition, the way DSS operationalizes some of the programs does not lend itself well to an external web form apparatus. In some instances, staff and providers guide clients through a process. In those instances, web forms are not necessarily the best and most efficient way to enroll clients for those services. Nonetheless, with amendments to recognize that legal and regulatory context, we can support this legislation. Intro 1430, sponsored by Councilmember Caban, would require the Department of Social Services to provide confirmation notice in hard copy or electronically to applicants of public assistance regarding their benefits interview. The notice would include a confirmation number, the date, time, and location of the interview, the phone number from which the interview was conducted, if the interview is via telephone, and all other relevant information. We support providing applicants with the information they need as they proceed through the benefits application process. If I may briefly review the current process for interviewing for cash assistance and SNAP applications and recertification interviews, the process proceeds along two tracks. One track is for the linked cash and SNAP applications and recertifications on the other side, and the other track is exclusively cash applications on the other side. For cash and SNAP applications and recertifications, the process is as follows. The client submits an application or recertification and calls for an on-demand interview. At the end of the interview, the system automatically generates the interview kept status and the receipt. The kept interview notification is available on Access HRA for SNAP immediately. The interview receipt, the FIA 1173, is placed in a print-to-mail queue to be mailed and is electronically added to the case file for both SNAP and cash. The receipt is physically mailed within 1 to 5 days. The notice, the FIA 1173, is available on Access HRA when it has completed the print-to-mail queue. Once mailed, the document becomes available in one viewer and Access HRA. For cash applications and recertification interviews, the interview status is not currently available online. We would have to build the functionality to add interview status to our system. We would like to have further discussions with the council about the bill to clarify the scope of the program covered and to accommodate measures necessary to prevent phishing and fraud attempts targeting clients, and to flag that the confirmation number, location, and phone number data points identified in the bill which are at variance with current operation. For cash assistance, our assessment thus far is that 90 days for implementation would not be sufficient to make adjustments to information technology systems to implement the changes this proposal requires. Intro 1458, sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, in the relation to the procedure for determining that a dwelling unit is habitable for the purposes of the City FEPS program, laying out requirements for DSS deeming a dwelling unit habitable before approving City FEPS rental assistance for the unit. Intro 1458 defines certain conditions as major and minor and describes how DSS should proceed given such conditions. DSS agrees with the spirit of this legislation, as we do too want to use the tools in our toolbox to sensibly and safely expedite conditions. That said, we would like to have further discussions with the council on this bill. There are 3 points I would like to share in this forum. First, as written, this bill would require DSS conduct more in-person inspections than is our current process. At present, DSS uses virtual inspections in certain defined circumstances to speed the process. As written, we believe this bill would roll back our ability to conduct virtual inspections and slow some of our efforts to accelerate the inspection process. Second, DSS is piloting an effort to expedite the unit inspection process. We aim to gain insights from this pilot to further refine our process for addressing condition concerns. Third, if the aim of this bill is to impose Nycc public housing assessment conditions on the City FEPS program, I would make this point that the two programs are incongruent. Therefore, having this checklist of requirements, including in-person inspections, would only serve to delay a process that we are doing our best to expedite as much as possible so we can get people housed quickly without compromising safety conditions for clients. Intro 1459, sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, would require DSS to submit to the mayor, council speaker, and to include in the mayor's management MMR report the average time it takes for an individual to secure housing after receiving a housing voucher. We support transparency and delivering accurate, timely, actionable information to stakeholders to assist in making informed assessments and ultimately public policy choices. In the case of Intro 1459, we want to have further discussions with Council about the metrics involved in this bill. Intro 1477, sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, would require DSS to respond to an application for city FEPS within 15 days after receiving the application. The response would inform the applicant of whether the application has been approved, denied, or requires correction or additional information. There are many factors in managing the city FEPS application. Although we would like to strive for the 15-day goal, legislating the agency respond within 15 days may not be practical, considering our current average is 23 days from completed rental application to decision. Once we receive an application, we work with the housing specialist and provider to make sure the information we have is up to date as possible. Through that process, we do our best to keep the clients informed of the status of their application. Clients check in with their case managers regarding their independent living plans or ILPs are a key avenue for sharing information and updates as to the application status. ILPs check-ins occur biweekly. On behalf of my colleagues, I would also like to take this opportunity to recognize Deputy Speaker Ayala's leadership on the Committee on General Welfare. The lived experiences you have shared and the deep knowledge and insights you bring to your work and benefits administration and human services will live on far beyond your tenure as chair of the committee. And we are thankful and better off for having worked with such a fierce advocate for New Yorkers in need. We appreciate the opportunity to testify today and welcome your questions.
Don't try to make me cry in my last hearing. But really, it's been my pleasure. Never would I have imagined when I was a wee little girl, that all of those struggles and challenges and lessons learned would, allow me a platform to be able to utilize those experiences to help other New Yorkers that are facing similar challenges. So it's really been, one of the best experiences of my life, and all of you have helped to make that statement true. So thank you. Oh. I'm going to switch things around a little bit, just as a courtesy to my fellow members of the committee. As my parting gift, I'm going to allow them to ask questions first. Councilmember Salam, did you? Oh, sorry, I wanted to before acknowledge that we've also been joined by Councilmember Aviles, Ressler, Banks, and Stevens. Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that, at least for the bills that I'm interested in, you certainly made clear that there's possibility of working together and trying to improve them. I guess for the one on 1458, which is how to make a unit habitable faster, when you do the virtual, which is obviously a good way to go about stuff, what I would be concerned about would be, I'm making this up as an idea, but the stove is broken. That could be fixed faster, perhaps, than maybe a outdoor escape route, fire escape. So, but I think what happens, these suggestions are coming from providers. They're not because Gail Brewer knows a damn thing. It has to do with the fact that these are all coming from real people dealing with real problems that need to be addressed. Every single day they're dealing with this. So my question is, can you do it, these issues that might be minor, can they do it virtually? I understand not wanting to go, to see everything, but something's wrong when a stove and a fire escape are both in the same bailiwick as to a problem, because you fix the stove fast.
Yeah. The pilot that we're launching in the coming weeks for re-inspections allows us to identify what we qualify as minor. So in your example, like a stove, heat or hot water, those things qualify as minor. We are going to be giving the provider the ability to re-inspect virtually because we believe those could be remedied quite easily. So it's all designed with an eye of speed and convenience as well to all the stakeholders. So we're looking forward to the pilot, and obviously we'll learn from the pilot, and if there are other items that can be qualified as minor, we'll add them to our considerations.
Okay, so what percentage of units do fail now? Do you have that number?
Thank you, Councilmember, for your question. I will pass this one to my colleague, Andrea Reed.
You got to push the button. There you go. Thank you.
Got it. Oh, a little closer. Thank you, council member, for that question, Chief Henderson. We take habitability decisions very seriously, and we're committed to ensuring that inspections and re-inspections are being processed timely. There are different means of conducting the inspections. Some are done by our providers, and some are done by HRA staff. And inspections, as we mentioned, are conducted in two ways, in person and virtually. The virtual inspections are a tool that we have put in place over a year now when in person is not feasible. We promote virtual inspection as a mechanism to expedite the scheduling and results. A unit that is inspected by a provider may fail. They use the checklist that we provide, but when they fail, they then work with the landlords and providers to make sure those failures are corrected. As part of our policy, we require that any unit that's in a basement, cellar, first floor, or attic must be inspected by HRA, given those types of units have a higher likelihood of failure. In calendar year 2025, of all the inspections that were conducted on basements, cellar, first floor, or attics, about half of them failed. And so we are intentional in making sure that those units are legal for our participants. As our chief mentioned, in a few weeks or in the coming year, we're launching the expedited reinspection pilot, where units that fail for those conditions that you mentioned, you know, the stove, the window guard,
The
cracked
minor ones,
windows,
so-called.
the minor ones, that the owners can send us photos documenting that the failures have been corrected. Additionally, we have a pilot that is a grant-funded program that's administered by our partners, Anthos, where we can conduct minor repairs for
That's
small
Laura Lazarus,
landlords.
right? That's
Yeah,
Laura
at
Lazarus.
Laura.
I know everybody.
Yes, yes, great. Our partners there to conduct minor repairs that are under $5,000. And so in addition to that, we have digitized the apartment review checklist, and we think like all those tools will help to get us decisions in sooner and speedier timeframes.
Okay, you didn't really, it's all right, I didn't get the percentage, and then I just also want to know of failures, and also what's the average time between the failed inspection and the reinspection? Maybe it depends whether it's a cellar or regular apartment. I understand that, but what's the time generally?
The time frame depends on the type of repair. If it's minor and small, it could be quick, but sometimes there are capital repairs that may take longer. So it all depends.
I mean, that's the kind of that kind of data, I must admit, is needed, to be honest with you. I know you may not have it now, but we would like to get it to the committee, and that is sort of what we're talking about in the bills, to have more data. Because that would help us, I think.
Yeah, we look forward to working on that for the
And
future.
what's the average number of inspections that each unit undergoes until it passes? Is it?
Thank
do
you
you
for
have other? I guess what are some of the common reasons why an inspection failed, and then the average cost associated with remedying? Obviously, that should come from the owner, but I'm sure you get stuck with some of it. So the first question is, what's the average number of inspections that each unit undergoes until it passes, virtually or in person or anything?
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. On average, there's about two.
Two.
Or so inspection that's required. And as I shared earlier, we are able to support repairs that are $5,000 or less. And so to help small landlords to get those repairs done quickly. Again, if the repairs are based on a capital project or bigger, larger repairs, then that might take longer.
Okay. How many inspectors are there doing this work? I guess you've got inspectors doing it virtually, and then when you say virtually, that means that the owner has taken a photograph. What does I don't know what does that mean? Now, obviously, the fancy apartments have somebody. I assume,
Yeah.
you know, when you look in the newspapers, or online, they got these beautiful friggin' Park Avenue, but that's not what you're doing. So, what is virtual mean?
Virtual means that the DHS staff or the HRA staff conducting the inspection is doing so with a mobile device, and on the other end, the landlord designee or the provider is also on a mobile device. Usually it's like Skype, FaceTime, something like that we use to conduct the inspection. So it's It's a walkthrough that happens.
So the owner or the manager has a device, and then you at HRA have a device.
Yes.
Okay. No 3D stuff, I guess.
No.
Okay. So anyway, how many inspectors are there? Obviously, some virtual, some in person.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. It's hard to say how many inspectors because many of the inspections are done by the provider, but internally we have about 5 on board and some vacancies that we're
Are
filling.
those folks just focus on city FEPs? Those 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, primarily city FEPs.
Okay. And then just
And
I
for
know
the,
you-
the
go ahead, I'm
priority floors, I'm sorry, the priority floors that I mentioned before, basement, cellar, first floor, and attics.
Okay. And then how many inspectors are virtual versus in person? Is it like half and half? Is it more virtual?
Trained to do both.
They're trained to do both.
Yes.
So, but in general, do you think they're more virtual than in
In person.
in person?
person.
I guess it depends on whether it's a cellar or a regular apartment
Yeah.
kind of situation. Okay. Madam Chair, I could keep going, but when you want to go to somebody else for inspections, I'll come back because I have many for the next bill. Go ahead.
I feel like I had a follow-up question and then I forgot what it was, based on one of the questions that I think, I'm not sure if you answered this, but Councilmember Brewer asked about the percentage of inspections that are done virtual versus in person. What is that number?
We don't have that information with us, but I would say the vast majority is in person versus virtual. We have to have the agreement of the landlord designee to do virtual. Many landlords opt for the in-person option.
Yeah, and I don't want to assume, but in the event where virtual is the preferred option, is that used for a follow-up to a failed inspection, or is that would that be used as an initial inspection?
Both.
It can, okay. I guess I would be a little bit concerned about the reliability.
I don't trust the owners.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because with technology, right, you can make things look a lot better or a lot worse than they actually are. And so it's difficult. It would be difficult for me to kind of assess, I guess, depending on the nature of the work needed. And in those cases where we're helping the landlord offset the cost of minor repairs, you mentioned that you have you can, budget up to 5,000. Is there a budget for that?
Yeah, it's grant funded. It's a small budget, about $400,000 that we're trying to expend. We've been marketing the program excessively in the past few months. It's designed for small landlords because we feel there might be inclination for smaller landlords to take on the offer to get into the program. So we're excited to see what the results of this brings to bear. But it's a very new program that we launched earlier this summer.
And who determines what the actual cost of such repairs is?
Our partner Anthos is managing the initiative with us. They are the point of contact. The entire network is able to refer to them, and they will work with the landlords on corrections.
They can be trusted. Laura can be trusted.
Yes.
What would you consider a small landlord?
Under 100 units.
Yeah.
Under 100 units? Okay. I'm gonna just quickly move over. I have more questions, but I am going to move on to Councilmember Ressler because Councilmember Riley's not here. He stepped away for a minute.
Thank you very much. I can't say enough about how special a leader our deputy speaker has been. And, it's today's Steve Levin's birthday. And Steve used to chair this committee, I think, for 8 years. He had a good run. And when he was coming, he was my predecessor. And when his time in the council was coming to an end, the thing he cared most about was having a strong successor on this committee. And when Diana's name came up as a potential replacement, like, Steve was enamored with the idea. because you just don't find a more caring and decent and thoughtful and effective leader than Diana Ayala. And she has brought, as you noted, Ms. Henderson, all of her lived experience and all of her expertise, a lifetime of expertise to leading this committee. And we've been incredibly fortunate to have her at the helm of our General Welfare Committee. It's one of the most important committees in the council. And Diana, you've just done a superb job. So I am very grateful to you from the bottom of my heart.
Can you give him his whole time? I'm sorry.
Oh.
Oh. All right. I do love that lady a lot. On the record. So I really, and I appreciate the topic of the hearing today and appreciate the DSS team for their testimony. Just a few questions from me. I'm particularly interested in SOI discrimination, and if you could share with us how many complaints you for source of income discrimination are there relating to City FEPS vouchers? I know at different times DSS had thought about kind of creating its own investigative unit to try to rein in the rampant discrimination against voucher holders. I don't believe that's still ongoing. So what data is CCHR sharing with you, and what are the most common, and what trend lines are you seeing?
Thank you for that question. We would defer to CCHR on that. This function is handled by them. We don't have metrics on it, but we can check in with them.
Any trend lines that you can share? What are you? I mean, we've seen a major increase in the utilization of vouchers, so you would assume there's also an increase in discrimination happening against voucher holders that would be consistent. Is there anything you can share with us, or any trends? What are the most common reasons that landlords are providing to your team about why City FEPS vouchers are being rejected?
Do you have anything on that? Do you have anything on that?
I mean, I've generally found CCHR's handling of source of income discriminations to be wildly inept and incredibly disappointing. And, had been excited when DSS tried to take on some of those functions themselves because of how badly CCHR has failed at this over a period of many years, frankly, since the creation of the City FEPS voucher. But that's no longer something that you all are doing. So what are we doing to, from DSS's standpoint, what are you doing to try to prevent discrimination? What reasons are landlords giving you for not accepting these vouchers, and how are we trying to mitigate it?
What we have been doing is really doubling down on our marketing and engagement of landlords. We have quarterly sessions with landlords in our network. We continue to expand and promote the subsidy as much as we can in city and out of city. Obviously, the take-up, as you mentioned, has increased over the recent years. Our internal protocols has been to refer to CCHR, to the providers in instances where clients have alleged income discrimination. But we've done a lot of work to really explain, educate, and really promote the subsidy. We can get back to you on any data that CCHR may have, but we defer to them on the metrics.
There was a hearing not too long ago where Commissioner Park testified to a 24-day period from submission of City FEPS package to the landlord to lease up. And there was guffaws in the audience because I just didn't make sense. So could you help me just understand what's the average time from the first submission of a pre-clearance package to move-in date?
Andrea, may I?
Yes. Thank you, Council Member, for that question. We take processing City FEPS applications very serious. We are continuing to work to strengthen the City FEPS program, assisting clients on their housing journey to housing security. The question is not easily answered. There are a number of dependencies from shopping letter to moving into a unit. A number of actions making the timeline relative, but not easily answered. The dependents are, based on a client's individual circumstances. They may be experiencing domestic violence survivor experience issues that exclude some borrowers from them. A family, may need to choose to enroll in their child in childcare before going on a viewing. There's also the habitability concerns that we discussed earlier.
I recognize there's any variety of concerns that any family's going to have before they move into an apartment that we all have to navigate whenever any of us move. But the crux of the question and what I'm really getting at here is that for city FEPs to be competitive beyond cost, we have to be able to move efficiently, right? And so from the time that package is first submitted to the first moment that submission of a pre-clearance package is made to when we actually get to move in, right? If that time frame is 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, we're just no longer going to be able to hold an apartment for that tenant to be able to actually get it. And so what I think Commissioner Park was testifying to when she spoke to us earlier in the year was that it's from the final package being submitted to move in was the 24-day period, which doesn't seem crazy. Right. But if it's that first package, it's taken us many, many months to get to that final package being ready for submission, then we've lost the apartment more often than not. So landlords just aren't keeping these apartments there for us for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm looking for the data. I'd like the data for when that first submission is made, because that's what we should be tracking it. I get all of the different variables that a family needs to figure out. I'm not asking you to solve for all of those, but I do want the data for when. So can you, that's the bill, I get it, but what can we share with us today?
Thank
and that's
you
why I support your bill.
Oh, thank you, Lincoln.
Chair Brewer, Councilmember Brewer, I'm always proud to support your good legislation.
Thank you for that, Council Member. As I mentioned, we take this very seriously, and speed is very important to us. I'm happy to share that, since the testimony, we're now at 23 days from the time the package is submitted.
Final package is submitted.
The final package is submitted.
But you have the data for the first package, right? Like, I'm trying to understand the breadth of the process, not from the final package to move in, because I think that really is the crux of what Councilmember Brewer is rightly trying to accomplish.
The 23 days includes all of the back and forth.
It does.
So it does, right? The average of 23 days includes all of the back and forth. Obviously, if there are no errors in the package, it's way less, half the time, right? But if there's a back and forth that's required, a deed needs to be resubmitted or a lease needs to be re-executed. Obviously, multiple stakeholders are involved. It adds time to the process.
So just so I understand it, the data point you're providing to us on this 23 days is the first submission of a pre-clearance package to move in. You believe that is a
23 days for a rental application to be reviewed and approved, not pre-clearances.
Okay. So
this explains the process by which the provider submits the rental application to our office, and we, an average of 23 days for us to approve the application.
Okay.
Right. That is after all of the upstream steps have been done with inspections, right? The provider is only submitting a complete package to us.
Okay. So I really think we need to have a better accounting for the time frame more broadly, not just from when the rental package is submitted to the turnaround, because we all know with a 1.4% vacancy rate, as you testified, and every member of the Adams administration likes to remind us at every hearing, it's a terribly low vacancy rate, especially, and it's even lower for very low income apartments. So, or for low, more modestly, for rent, for apartments at lower cost. So these apartments are incredibly hard to get. And if it's taking 3, 4, 5 months, which is, I'm just assuming, if you're baking in all the inspections and the back and forth to get to that point where the rental package is submitted, we're losing too many units. And I really think that we need to understand this data of the full time frame and also understand how many units we're losing as a result of that time frame so that we can all work together to streamline things. And I appreciate the hearing and the package of bills that hopefully move us forward.
Just 1 second, the live stream is, I think we're having some technical.
But I'm all set. I appreciate the and I will say, Ms. Henderson,
Lincoln, we said stop talking.
Want me to stop talking? Okay. All right. Nobody cares what I got to say anyway.
Nobody's gonna hear. It's not gonna be recorded. You're gonna have to say it again.
It's not. It's fine. I was going to say something nice about Risa. So do we, I guess we want that
On the
recorded.
record.
All right, good.
Are we good? We're good?
The internet stops working when I'm about to say
Okay, go
something
ahead.
nice
Go
about
ahead,
somebody in the
Lincoln. We're
Adams
going to give you
administration.
back your second.
The I was just gonna say, I think it was close to a decade ago when we were having significant issues at Path, and you were brought in to help improve the situation. Did a phenomenal job, and I've just heard over many years that you're one of the best people we have who's working on homeless issues in the city of New York, and appreciate all your work and everything you've done to help support homeless individuals in our city.
Appreciate it.
Councilmember Avilas, followed by Stevens and Banks.
Thank you so much, Chair. I will save all my compliments for you, Deputy Speaker, later. But you are quite amazing, and we are lucky to have you. I wanted to follow up on a couple different things. In terms of the inspectors, you noted 5 internally, and not sure how many inspectors are in the provider universe. Why is that? Do the contracts that are provided to the, I think it's 26 home base sites, do they not stipulate a minimum amount of inspectors?
So I can start, and Andrea, please jump in and help me. As Andrea testified a few minutes ago, inspections are done in 2 lanes. Provider staff are contracted to hire housing specialists, and their core function is really working with clients and supporting them in their journey of finding housing as well as the rental application. For those providers, we have a sense of the work that they do because they're contracting. We're contracting with them, and they have staff working directly with them. There could be hundreds of staff in this lane. On the home base side,
Thank you for that.
You just turned it off. There you go.
Thank you for that, Councilmember and Chief Henderson. On the home base side, the staffing model may be different for each of the providers, and so some may have someone that's like a housing specialist, but it's mainly their case management team that is working to conduct those inspections. And so the 16 contracts with their 26 sites, they have staff that do conduct the inspections. I don't know how many per.
Yeah, I think
offhand.
it would be important to know, right? I mean, there's thousands of applications that are going at the same time, and we see issues with the inspection timeframes. Obviously, we're trying to make the whole system efficient, but if we don't even know how many inspectors are part of the provider universe that we're funding, it just doesn't make sense. Could you go back and see how many inspectors are actually doing that work in the provider universe?
we can.
Sure.
Okay, great. And you noted you consider small landlords 100 units. Is that within a building or across multiple
building.
portfolios? Okay. And why?
So we're targeting the smaller landlords who otherwise would pull out of the program, right, because of minor issues. They may be newer mom and pop landlords coming into the program. Larger landlords have the infrastructure to really address work orders and correction in a different way. So this is a support for smaller landlords. We're piloting. If there is a potential to scale up, we'll scale up as we evolve the program.
So what percentage of the stock where vouchers are provided are offered to smaller landlords?
What percentage of the stock?
Yeah. I'm trying to understand. Well, I don't understand someone holding 100 units being considered a small landlord. So
Yeah.
let's just start there.
Yeah, small
But
buildings.
even
yeah.
smaller, right? Folks where they're actual small small homeowners that have, 2 and 3 units are normally what we consider like.
Yeah, so 100 or less, right, will be targeted.
Do you have a disaggregation of actually what it looks like?
The number of
Yeah, like
small buildings.
yeah. How many landlords are actually holding 100 units or less? How many are holding 2 or 3 units?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but the Fast Lane program is directed to small landlords who are entering the program who have failures, right? So you have to have a failed inspection before we can offer the Fast Lane program to you. And we have decided that small landlords qualify as 100 units or less. Larger developments, larger companies, larger buildings have the infrastructure to address the work orders and expedite the repairs.
So I'm just gonna, Chair, if I may, try to get you a clearer question. So in this 100 units or less, I think what I'm trying to understand is what percentage of that universe are actual landlords that have the larger buildings, let's say 50 to 100 units. How many are holding, in tier to understand more of that universe and infrastructure? Because they don't need the ones that have the larger infrastructure of 100 units, right, to handle all the bureaucracy is very distinct than from smaller landlords that maybe hold 4 units or 2 units.
We don't have that data
Okay.
on hand today, but
Okay.
we can check on
Great.
it.
And then I guess lastly, just would you be able to provide a district breakdown of how many vouchers are within each council district? Is that data you would happen to have? Voucher holders or applications coming
We
from
can
a
check
council
with-
district?
We can check with our data people. We don't
Great.
have that with us now,
Thank
but
you.
we can get back
Yeah.
to you.
Great, thank you so much.
Councilmember Stevens?
Well, good morning. And unlike Councilmember Aviles, I will not be holding my compliments for Deputy Speaker until later because the reality is I wouldn't be here without her. And most people don't have the option or time to serve with their mentor. And I have had the pleasure of serving with my mentor for the last 4 years, who showed me how to lead with compassion and love. And that's what she's done as chair and as a colleague. And so I'm so honored that I've been able to work with you. And I didn't realize this was her last hearing. So I'm mad emotional. I feel like I'm more emotional than she is. But like I am like devastated that she's not gonna be side by side with me. But she's gonna be somewhere, I'm sure. But I'm really honored that I got to serve with you. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, because she's the person who gave me the courage to actually say, nah, you could do this. And so I will continue to hold up your legacy of leading with compassion, love, and really caring about our community and leading with experience, because that's the other thing. We come from places where the things that we're talking about, this is not just talking about it because we read about it in a book, it's because we lived it. And that's a different type of experience, and it's not taken from anyone else. But me and her, especially, all of these city fat vouchers, and when we're talking about eviction, we're not talking about it because we heard about it or it happened to other people. We were both teen moms, and we came up and we had to fight to get where we are. So it's just been a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate it. And you will be missed, and I will continue your legacy. So y'all can clap for it. I don't care. I know you're not supposed to clap, but mentor. Y'all not gonna get kicked out. She'll allow it. People be clapping in my hearings. I'm a mess, so But to the administration, I want to just go in really quickly because y'all know what I have to do. I have to invoke the young people into this conversation. And, to me, it's still really unfortunate that young people do not have access to City Fed vouchers in the way that they should. And I just want to again, on the record, get a better understanding of, even with the expansion and understanding this, why we have not expanded these City Fed vouchers so homeless runaway youth could have access to it in a real way, because we know that if we don't stop the cycle early, it just continues. And we know most people, young people, especially when they're aging out, do not want to go to a DHS shelter, which is why we have the 18 to 21 shelters, because they don't want to go there because it's not safe and they're not comfortable, and that's just not a good atmosphere for them. So why have we not allowed them to have access, and what are we doing to ensure that? Because I truly believe this would be a great way for us to stop the cycle of homelessness, and I just need a better understanding, because every time I just don't, it's never a good, it's not a good explanation to me. So maybe it's a new one today.
Thank you for that question, Council Member. I do want to share that we share the same passion that you have in ensuring that our young people and New Yorkers are housed. We have been partnering with our partners at DYCD and ACS. They both have had allotments to the city.
Yes, we know that they have had allotments. No, this is what I'm saying. We know that they have allotments, but we know that it's not at the rate that they needed to, and we know that they are not having access. And so, like, it does not make sense, because it's as if we are perpetuating the cycle. So I just need a better understanding of, like, yes, they have allotments. It's clearly not enough. So why have we not said, hey, we're going to allot even more for these young people?
I think those are ongoing discussions within the agency, and we hope to have more to share in the coming years.
I know, I've been here for 4 years, so when the discussion gonna end? Oh, y'all can't clap. I don't want you to get out of trouble. Only in my hearings. When y'all come to, we be clapping.
No, I think Andrea's right. At DSS, we just underwent a reorg. So we are a newly minted Housing Services Administration. We have a key focus on consolidating and streamlining and providing access to subsidy. These are conversations that we're going to be taking up internally to see what more we can do.
It's driving me crazy. I just want to say, we're going to be starting again in January reset. And please do not come here and tell me you're having conversations about it, because I'm telling you I'm going to lose my mind. We've been saying this for 4 years, that we're having conversations, and these young people are still in a cycle of poverty. And it's not fair, and it does not make sense when it's like, you could see it, but why we're not doing it? And everyone agrees. You agree, I agree, DYCD agrees, ACS agrees, everybody agrees. So I'm not really understanding where the disconnect is. If we all are saying this is something we want to see, we're all saying we don't want to see young people homeless, we're all saying this, so then give them access. And again, you're saying you're having conversations. Who do I need to have conversations with? Because I'm confused. Who should I speak to?
So just to reiterate what
No, I don't want to reiterate. I want to know who should I speak to, because I want to be clear about, like, who's having these conversations, because for 4 years I've been asking the same question, and I keep getting we're in discussion. And so who do I need to be in discussion with? Because I thought I was in discussion with the right people.
Well, so to answer your question, these are larger administration decisions that happen, with the leadership of City Hall.
Okay, great. So you're saying talk to the mayor? Got it.
And as we are
else?
As we are in a moment of transition, these are issues that we will obviously share with the transition team, and look forward to figuring out what the new mayor's vision is.
Got it. I'll speak to him myself. Thank you very much. I will speak to the new administration, because I will not be having this conversation for the next 4 years. Give young people access to the vouchers so we can stop the cycle of homelessness for these young people, so that they are not in DSS shelters 6 months later and they're there and coming in and out. So let's just start there. So don't worry, I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to him. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just also want to share the same sentiment. Thank you for welcoming me to this committee in my first term, and appreciate you, love you, and we know wherever you go, you're going to continue to make great impacts to build a bigger and brighter New York City. So thank you. Particularly, and this may be repetitious, duplicative in a sense, but touching on some of the questions of Councilmember Ressler, the last year's audit from the State Comptroller Napoli highlighted that households wait on average nearly 10 months to move into permanent housing after receiving a City FEP's shopping voucher. Has the agency implemented any changes to shorten this timeline? And I just want to again highlight, my office continues to receive frequent complaints about the length of turnover, turnaround times, and the difficulty of finding landlords who will accept the city FEP vouchers. So what's being done different?
Thank you, council member, for that question. We continue to share that, we take very seriously the time it takes to process our rental applications. The dependencies are not in one place, right? And so, client who is issued a shopping letter and then identifying a unit, that particular client's circumstances add time, right? Depending on their circumstances. The habitability of the unit adds time, right? And then also making sure that when the package is submitted, that is submitted accurately. So there's lots of things that are in place to help speed that along. Intentional sort of support with our provider partners. Chief Henderson mentioned the concierge unit, and this is a unit that's on site helping and supporting providers and making sure we get accurate packages. We have digitized the inspection process so that we can get real-time information. We have launched our electronic application system so that the applications are sent electronically. We have reorganized and restructured so that the entire continuum of folks that are touching the rental assistance application flow are reporting up the chain to one leadership, and so that we can help to streamline the work. And so just a number of innovations.
Thank you. When it comes to landlord participation and payment delays, many landlords cite late payments, administrative burdens, communication challenges as reasons they do not accept city FEPS vouchers. For example, one landlord in my district has a household, a tenant for 8 years and has been eligible for a rent increase for 3 years. But yet, despite submitting all the paperwork through the portal in March of this year, has not received any update. Others have expressed that working with the city is too difficult due to slow processing and inconsistent communication. What concrete incentives beyond the current payment structure are being considered to encourage more landlord participation and to ensure a reliable on-time rent disbursements?
Thank you, council member, for that question. So in reference to timeliness of payments, we have been leveraging our technology to support this. Coming this year, landlords in the beginning, when applications are submitted, they're going to be able to select the electronic fund transfer. And so we expect that payments will be sooner and timelier, not dependent on the mail, right? Additionally, Additionally, the landlord portal will be available so that landlords are able to decipher, what payments they have and know where the government subsidy payments stand. So in terms of payments, those are some of the things that we're doing. Can you repeat the second part of the question?
Just wanted to know what are concrete incentives beyond current payment structures being considered, encouraged to more landlords to participate?
Currently, we're still administering the unit hold that we provide to landlords, and so that's an incentive. In addition to all the work we're doing to strengthen the process.
And questions this question is regarding like city FEPS and more. I guess we were talking about for older adults. As we do know, we have a growing older adult population, especially in my district and probably throughout the entire city. Given the growing population of older New Yorkers, who may not be tech savvy and are definitely sometimes left behind when it comes to tech. Are there any strategies that the department is considering to simplify the City FEPS process or provide additional assistance to seniors who struggle with the online system?
Thank you for that question, council member. So, applicant for City FEPS is attached to a provider that's supporting them. And so the expectation is that the case management staff is working to support them, that client. In addition to, sort of advancing our technology, we also still have manual process for folks who are less tech savvy. And, so we try to ensure that all are accounted for.
So do they actually go to the senior? Is there any way for them to go to the senior to help them fill out the application? Or would the senior obviously have to come into a...
So I guess it varies depending on if you're in shelter, you have a case manager person
right.
that's assisting you. Oftentimes they're on site. If you're in the community, then you're working with home base and you go into the office. There are some times when home base do assist.
And the last question, when it comes to steps in the department taking to improve the response times for HRA cases, my constituent liaisons consistently report long delays in receiving responses from the agency, as well as being redirected from one caseworker to another and without resolution. What measures are currently in place or in progress to address these response time issues?
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. Part of the restructuring that we've just done have established a customer service team, and this customer service team is being put in place to be able to respond to inquiry coming in regarding status. We also, emphasize that the continuum of the processing touches many points, and so we refer oftentimes back to making sure that you are intentionally communicating with your case manager. Those touches are biweekly, and so we encourage not only the landlords but the client to also communicate with their
but if it's a staff member from a council member's office that's advocating on behalf of a constituent to help bring resolution, what support is given there? Because obviously they want us to deliver for them. So how are you helping us as partners?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So, I mean, if there's specific instances and cases,
We can give you a boatload, but I asked the general question, and you could, answer it in a general way. But we can give you a list of cases where the response time from the administration has been, has been terrible.
I understand. So, we have, as the chief and the executive deputy commissioner have said, we have a process for questions and for review. But if you are not getting, a quick enough response, we have an intergovernmental team and borough directors that you can reach out to directly. You can also reach out directly to me, and we'll make sure that you get a response.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Councilmember Brewer is going to do a second round, and then Aviles, and then I will ask my questions.
Thank you very much. Again, 1477, which is this 15 versus 23 discussion. Tell me a little bit more about why even 15 days does sound like a lot when you're really trying to get into an apartment. 23 sounds like even further. So what are the challenges in terms of getting that 23-day number down, number one? And what's the current process for informing applicants about the status? I know you're informing staff, which is important with new technology, and perhaps even the owner. But how do you let the individual applying know, even on a real-time basis, where their application is? Those are my two 1477 questions.
Keep going off. Sorry. Thank you for the question, Councilmember. So as I shared before, in Access HRA, leveraging the technology there, when a client is issued a shopping letter, that shopping letter is available in Access HRA, so they know that the shopping letter has been issued. It's also available in our care system for the providers. Any decisions that are made, so when the case is approved, those letters are also available in Access HRA for the client.
So that gives them real time. No, in other words, the stove isn't working, and so we have to do a reinspection. All of that is in that tech.
Not that level of detail.
That's what I'm talking
Councilman.
about.
So,
So that's what I'm talking about.
Again,
Okay.
what we shared earlier was that we are intentional in communicating to our constituents and our clients to make sure that they're talking and communicating
With their
in touch with
caseworker.
their case
No, I
manager.
got that,
They
but I'm-
see them biweekly, and that's where they can get the most real-time status updates.
All right. I'm just technology wise, everybody could be access to. I'm just saying it's something to think about, something to aspire to. Okay. And then the other question is, what is involved with that 23 days versus 15 days? Is there something that you think could perhaps be a medium, or maybe 15 days and then asking for more time, or is there some, way in which we could work on that day issue?
So thank you for that question, council member. So, when there's no returns, the packages are done
Okay.
within that time frame.
Right.
It's the returns, and so we have a number of efforts, on the way to help make sure that accurate packages are being submitted. I mentioned before our concierge team. I mentioned before we've developed a checklist, a number of tools in our toolkits to help ensure that those applications, once they're submitted, they're clean and that we can get to that 15 days. And so more work to come on that in the new year.
Okay, I mean, I hear you. And then 1459 is the same issue. It's, again, reporting of lease up times for housing vouchers. Is that something that you said in your testimony that you would consider it with some changes? Is that true? In other words, this is basically a data bill. Is that something that you could look at? And what we're trying to do is get the information, not to change the information, but to get the information.
Yes, Councilmember, that's something that we can certainly look at. I think one of the things that we wanted to just make sure and talk to you about was just to make sure that there's context in what data is being put out there. Because as both the chief and the EDC have discussed, there's a lot of different factors that go into those 2 points in time that you're asking about. So we just want to make sure that that all of that is factored in to what's being presented.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Vilas?
Yes, thank you so much. Just wanted to follow up on the question of older adults. Do you have a sense of how many older adults have been provided vouchers in the pool?
So we don't have that number on us right now, but we can get
Okay,
back
if you
to you.
could provide it to the council. I think, similarly, I'd love to understand a little bit more also how providers are equipped to engage with older adults who have very distinct needs, to make sure that they are obviously supported. I think we get so many older adults in our in our office, not only seeking assistance with, well, often on the verge of being unhoused and can't qualify for anything, just real particular challenges for them. So I'd love to understand more around how the agency is targeting and making sure that those services are adequate. In terms of the concierge pilot, can you talk to me a little bit more about it? How are providers aware of the pilot? How do people know they're getting concierge service? Please elaborate.
Sure. We're really excited about this pilot. The concierge model was designed to really focus and support providers who might be having challenges with their move-out goals. We have embedded staff at multiple sites. It's usually an invitation, so we work with our providers before we arrive on site, and the team is trained to really administer a curriculum of activities that we believe are all geared at managing a successful housing outcome. So they're on site for 4 weeks. Each week has a different agenda of items that they work with the providers on, from everything from data and systems to voucher eligibility, processing, you name it. The team is there able to really support the providers in that way. The goal is that we go in, we support them, and obviously they get the blueprint to continue. We're excited about this program because we're seeing really great results already.
So how many sites, how many providers actually are receiving this support? And do you anticipate cycling through the whole universe of providers? And what does that look like?
So it's a small team of
Okay.
about 20 people, and we go to an average of 5 to 7 sites per month, maybe more sometimes, and for a 30-day stay.
And if a provider would like that kind of support, it sounds like you are identifying who needs that support.
Yes.
How about if a provider feels like they could use that kind of
Yeah,
support?
we put them on the queue, and if we are able to address, we will assign someone. In the cases of new providers coming on, we've done that in the past. We have assigned people on.
Got it. And then lastly, in terms of the, how many, you may have mentioned this in your testimony, so forgive me, but how many households are in DHS shelters right now?
Just in the census?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah, just in the census. And then just curious, how many households in shelter have active shopping letters?
We have the shopping letter number we can provide you. You have it? 11. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember, for that question. Currently, there are about 11,000 clients with active shopping letters at this time.
And how many get placed a year? Like how many people have exited into units this year alone? I guess calendar, which is a little complicated since we work on.
This calendar year.
We have the fiscal year number, which was in the
Okay,
testimony.
that's fine.
It's 15,000.
Yeah, and I think calendar, I believe the calendar year to October is a little over 4,500
To date.
to October, through October.
So January through October, about 4,500.
No, July 1 through September, the fiscal year.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vilas. So this committee held a hearing on the administration of the City FEPS program in January of 25, about a year ago. And since then, can you provide any updates about improvements to the voucher, to the administration of the voucher system, and any possible new pressure points or challenges?
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. As I shared before, we take the City FEPS program very seriously, and ensuring that our clients get to housing security as soon as possible. One of the updates that we have made is, as I mentioned before, all the applications are now through our current, which is our electronic application system. That facilitate review process, make it easier for us to track and avoid packages getting lost. The tech advancements for the end of this year and the coming year is that we will have electronic funds transfer available to all landlords, and also that they will be able to enroll in the portal so that they can see their payment histories, know which payments is from the government and where that stands. Additionally, we are creating reports on the disposition of the shopping letter. So all those timeline questions that you asked, we should be able to have and be able to address that. We continue to review our application paperwork to see where we can make additional cuts and where we can maximize the technology to further reduce the administrative burdens, all of what we've talked about. We have invested in technology also to modernize the clearance and the review, apartment review process. We've digitized the apartment review checklist, just to name a few.
I'm so proud of you
changes.
guys for moving into the next century. Finally,
Thank you.
we're moving on up. Um, can you tell us within the city FAP's recipient population, what portion stay in their units year after year, and what is the turnover rate?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. City FEPs continue to be the most valuable, significant resource we have in shoring up housing security for the over 136,000 New Yorkers that are currently active in the program. It is the second largest housing subsidy program in the nation. City FEP's renewal rate is pretty high. On average, approximately 90% of the City FEP's household renew each year. We do not expect it to be 100%. There's a variety of reasons why someone might not renew. A participant may leave the city. They may have significant income increase, or they may pass away. For example, those folks are not going to renew, right? And we have flexible renewal policies. If someone renew after the 1 year mark, or even now after the 2 year mark, we're able to bring them back into the program.
Okay. How, well, let me just ask a couple of these first, and then I'll go back to that. Do you know, could you tell us what the length of time on average it is that a household typically uses the City FAPS voucher for?
Thank you for that question. Again, our retention rate is pretty high. It's the 90% of folks that renew, and ongoing, we renew because someone have submitted their application and claimed good cause, and the good cause is related to having the income requirement and remaining in the unit. So a good 90% are in their units.
But how long, how long do voucher recipients stay in the program is what I think I'm trying to ascertain.
Well, it's thank you for that. It's a 5-year program, but what I was sharing is that ongoing, our participant renew for good cause. So I don't have like all the participants how long they've stayed, but for the most part, they're
percent of
this
individuals
ongoing.
on the voucher program will continue to renew.
They continue to renew.
Okay. You know, and we've spoken about this before about the income discrimination, you know, issues that voucher holders facing. I actually had a conversation yesterday with a landlord, a nonprofit landlord, who shared with me they have a building. The building has a lot of vacancies, and I said, you know, it would be great if you could, right? You know what? He's not able to lease up the building because the building has, you know, some issues, right? Not necessarily in the units, but there have been some questionable people that have taken over the building, and so in the conversation, I brought up the possibility of working with the city and leasing up those units to, you know, families coming out of shelter. And this nonprofit has, you know, routinely done that, right? A lot of their residents are coming out of shelter, but what they expressed to me was that they have gotten to the point where they don't, that's not their first option anymore, because even though the income is consistent, a lot of the folks that are being referred to them require some sort of social service support, and they are landlords, right? They're not equipped to provide that service, and what they find is that they inevitably end up having to evict those folks because they need more support than they're receiving. And I wonder, is that something that DSS has given any consideration to? Is how do we work with our, you know, with landlords, in particular those that are in the nonprofit field that tend to take on, you know, a larger share of shelter families and singles to help them ensure that those residents stay in place, right? I think it's a win-win for the landlord, it's a win-win for DSS, it's a, definitely a win for that resident if we can keep them there and provide, right? And the fact that we don't have enough supportive services to go around, supportive housing to go around, has become an issue. But if we can somehow figure out how to offset, right, the cost of that, um, by offering that level of support to landlords, in this specific category, I think that it would go a long way. And it hadn't occurred to me until I spoke to him, and I didn't feel like he was actively trying to discriminate, right, for any other reason that than he really felt like it became more of a social services driven,
Girl.
a role, and he just doesn't have the resources to do that.
Home base.
Thank you for that. Thinking, council member. This is a challenge across the system. Home base can help some, but they're not a mental health provider. It's a conversation. It's a topic that has come up, and we're looking to see how we can support landlords, across the field. I don't have an easy answer for you, but
I gotta listen to the answer. It's like, we
we're
don't.
partnering with the available resources that are in the community to address indicators of mental health concerns, and making sure that that information is available to landlord, CBOs that the clients may touch bases with, and encouraging those who are experiencing these indicators to seek the help from the resources that are available. That's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add to what EDC Reed was saying. We work within, the resources that we have. We also work across agencies and, try to connect people with services to DOHMH. But really, what you're getting at is at the core of the Affordable Housing Services Program. And so this is obviously new construction or renovation, but these are buildings are designed with providers to provide light touch services, so that if a person exiting shelter does not necessarily qualify for full supportive housing, this is a kind of hybrid that could address some of those issues that you're bringing up here and that landlord was raising. That's obviously a new model, but it's something that we're consistently thinking about, and how we can connect those dots for folks, because we want this to be sustainable, and we work within the toolkit that we have.
I mean, I think that it merits some sort of a study to analyze, right? Which nonprofits does the city contract with the most, right? And housing a higher portion of individuals, and then how many of those folks are eventually back in the system because they've been evicted for non-payment of rent, for hoarding that hasn't been addressed, for maybe I mean, I've heard stories of folks walking in the hallways, undressed, and I expect those things, right, with individuals that need more supportive mental health services in particular. But it's an interesting idea to kind of I think it made me think of, like, how do we think outside of the box so that we're not just putting supportive people that need supportive housing in one building, when there are possibilities to integrate them into the general population if that support was also readily available. And so I think it's something that's worth looking at, because there aren't that many nonprofit organizations that are doing housing. I mean, there are enough of them, but it's not like it's a huge universe of maybe piloting something like that, because at one point, this specific landlord was able to get some grant funding to be able to assist, and they just they lost the funding and they were not able to finance the cost of this. But even folks that are not coming from shelter, right? You have low income residents that maybe lost their job and don't know, where to turn, don't know that they can, qualify for certain city benefits. As a landlord, right, I want my objective, right, would be to have my rent paid. Working with those residents and offering that special, like what's happening in the household, before we initiate an eviction, I think is an important tool that we also have to, make use of, if we really want to be intentional about decreasing the number of folks that are, in shelter and keeping those that have been housed. So it was an interesting conversation that made me think a little bit, more broadly about how we address, this situation, and how do we help, an organization like that be more receptive to, working with the city and bringing in more folks, right? Because then that stigma that, like, well, I don't, now everybody's excluded. Whether you have a need for, social service assistance or not, right? Everybody that's in the shelter system kind of gets pulled into that. And that would be an unfair assessment to make, Can you tell us so DSS had announced the Affordable Housing Services Program in the beginning of 2024, which is meant to fast track the creation of newly constructed high quality and deeply affordable housing for City FEPS voucher holders. What is the progress of this program, and how many sites and units have been brought online?
So we don't have the exact numbers. We can get them to you, but right now I believe it's around 800 or 900 units, either already brought online or in the pipeline, but we can get you a more accurate number.
And in January, the administration testified that it was partnering with the nonprofit Re-Institute to help improve systems and bring down package return rate. What does the partnership look like, and what progress has been made there?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. So our partnership with Re-Institute brought providers to the table, agency staff to the table, looking at how to streamline the package process and identify where the bumps and rubs are and how to correct that. We're nearing the final phase of that, where we have developed the application review checklist, which will go live in coming weeks, early in 2026. And this will help to sort of walk through what is required every step of the application process, so that by the time that application is submitted, it should be accurate and clean, and we could get to that 14 or 15-day approval timeframe. That's going to be launched with a complimentary video that's sort of marketing and messaging and, challenging our providers, to step up and really utilize this tool to help them do the work more efficiently and effectively. So that's the first thing that's coming from there with our Re-Institute partners.
Okay. And could you just remind us, I'm sorry if somebody asks this question, we get distracted and don't always hear all the questions that I ask, but what is the median amount of time that it takes for an applicant to lease up for the first time?
Thank you for the question, Council Member. I just, I want to share again that we take processing the City FEPS application, very seriously, and we continue to work to strengthen, the City FEPS program and the client experience on their housing journey to housing security. We shared that, we're pleased that, in 2024 we were at 33 days, and now, we're at 23 days, and that's due to the back and forth and making sure the package is accurate. When everything is good, we're at that 14, 15-day marker. So,
really?
Yeah.
That seems pretty short. Okay. And can you tell us what the most common reasons for rejections would be?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. Can you clarify for me rejection?
When a person is submitting a rental package, for the first time, how many, what is the percentage of those packages that are rejected for whatever reason? Or what is the reason?
Okay, so just to clarify, very few packages are denied. So when I think of rejection, I'm thinking deny. In
Yes.
terms of the return, we shared the packages are returned because the forms are not complete, signatures are missing, inaccurately completed. Those are some of the reasons why the packages go back and forth. And part of what we talked about was making sure that that communication is readily available, whether it's a landlord-related issue or the client-related issue or the provider-related issue, that those communications are happening in real time, bi-weekly, so that we know what the rubs are to help to correct those.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the housing, the income discrimination part of this question because I didn't finish asking it. But when a landlord is engaging in income discrimination and they're refusing an apartment to those with a voucher, has DSS observed any voucher discrimination? Like, have you observed anything like that? Are you, are you guys filing any complaints on behalf of voucher holders? What is the agency doing to address income discrimination and ensuring that we're holding these landlords responsible?
What we shared earlier, that when it does come to our attention, it's being shared with CCHR. We don't currently have the data in front of us. But the other thing is that, we know that this is a challenging process for many of the clients. And, oftentimes they may not even report what's happening. The first thing you don't want to do is get into discord with a landlord as you're trying to, identify a unit. So I think we will get back to you in terms of the data because we don't have it with us
Yeah, I
today.
mean, I passed a bill a few years ago that required that the language on income discrimination and that the explanation of what income discrimination looks like be added to the language in the voucher so that families, were aware of that. I don't, I don't always read everything that I'm not reading the fine print. And my concern is that if whoever is the point of contact with a potential renter, right, at the shelter setting, or not, right, in a community setting, it's not communicating to that person, hey, it is illegal for a landlord to say to you that they cannot accept, voucher holders as potential residents. If in the event that that happens, you should document, right, the landlord's name, the address, and report that back so that we can then help you ensure that you're reporting to the appropriate agency and they can handle this, right? There's like this that synergy doesn't exist. That level of connectivity is really important if we are, you know, um, really interested in eliminating this type of discrimination, especially in an environment, such as the one that we're in, where the vacancy rates are just so low that we don't have the benefit of, the privilege of saying, you know what, well, whatever, we'll move on to the next one. There may not be that many next steps, right? Not many units left to go to. So I think that the income discrimination component of this, which is still really prevalent, is really important. And I'm just curious to find, to hear like what is DSS doing. And I know, listen, you guys do everything. You guys, there's a lot of work, that happens within the umbrella of of the organization. Um, but these are nuances that are like really important.
Yes, we agree. And we can definitely go and dig into some of that some more.
Okay. Okay. Um, let me ask something else here. What is can you tell us what the city's actual spending so far for this fiscal year on the city FEPS voucher is projected to be, and what is the projection spending for the rest of 26?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. For FY26 expenditure through October is $548 million. The FY26 budget is $1.1 billion, and that includes the $400 million added to the city FEPS in FY27 November plan. And of course, we'll be closely monitoring the budget and will address any additional fiscal needs as the year progresses.
Okay. I mean, we go through this every single year. Is this a decision by like OMB or the administration? Who decides? I get it. We don't want to put, we're not sure what the actual expenses are going to be for some programs. And so we put what we think we're going to spend, right? And then we come back in November and we add additional funding if it's necessary. But it seems like we have consistently overspent more than what has been allocated, in the executive budget, and we continue to underfund it. I'm not sure why that rate. Right, if we're adding money in November, it should be very minimal. It should not be half the cost of the program.
So we are in constant communication with OMB in assessing the needs of the program, and that's on an iterative basis. I think it's just part of an ever-growing program and figuring out what the needs are going to be, moving forward. But it's again, it's a constant conversation to make sure that we're addressing what the needs are.
Yeah, I find that ironic because I know that there are agencies that get extra spending dollars in anticipation of expenses that may have not been accounted for, and then that money, if it's not used, right, gets repurposed. And yet here we have the opposite, where we know that we're spending, and I'm making up a number, 800 million a year, for the last 5 years, but yet we're only putting in five, in the exec, knowing that there is a threshold, right? Now we're funding it at 9, and we actually end up spending 1.1 million, then we can make up that difference. That makes sense to me. Yeah, but million, yeah, but sorry, billion. That makes sense to me. But to only fund half of the program, knowing that it's going to cost significantly more, and that it has consistently, cost significantly more, to me is a little bit confusing. So I'm trying to understand if that is a decision that's made at the DSS level, or is that a decision that is a recommendation of the Office of Budget and Management?
It's in consultation, both with the administration, with OMB, and obviously with the us as the program.
I mean, when you say
marketers.
Consultation, that means that there's a mutual agreement. Is that? It doesn't sound fiscally sound or responsible to say, okay, I'll take half, when we know that we're spending more than that. We've projected that we're going to be spending more than that on an annual basis, and you're saying to me 90% of the folks that are in the program stay in the program. So that tells me, right, that we should be accounting for that off the get-go. Like, that shouldn't even. So when you say in consultation, is DSS making the recommendation, or is that what DSS is being told? Like, this is the budget that we're projecting, and we'll have a future conversation later.
It's an ongoing conversation.
Okay. Fair enough. What is the budget for fiscal year 27, and is that sufficient to meet the level of demand?
We don't have the 27 number. We can get it.
Okay. Do you have any information on the number of folks that they've utilized the City FEPS voucher for housing and subsequently returned to shelter within 1 year, and how many have returned to shelter within 5 years?
Thank you for that question, Council Member. That number is 44 for the first quarter of FY26.
44 households?
44 household that returned to shelter after exiting. The retention is over a 1 year period. And so, say, for example, you moved out between July 24 to September 24, which is the quarter. So 1 year of being out. And so July 2025 to September 2025, 44 households have returned.
They're returning to shelter.
Yeah.
Do we know why? I mean, it's a small number. That's good, but 44 people is still 44 people, 44 households. do we know why those 44 households are returning?
I don't have that information with me, but we can
The
get
reason
back
that
to
I
you.
ask is because I've brought this up before. I have a constituent who's an elderly constituent, who's under the city's guardianship program, and she came to our office some time ago, and she was very, she was very manic, and so the staff didn't really understand what it was that you know, that she needed, what the needs were, if there were any, or she was just, sometimes we get people that come in and they feel comfortable in the office, and so they make themselves at home. I know you face this all the time,
I kick them out as quickly as
No.
possible.
Strike that from the record. But we don't. In my office, I try to figure. I'm like, so I was trying to figure out what was going on with her, and and as she was, all over, she was taking out papers, and I'm looking at the papers that she's taking out. She owed over, I think it was like $38,000 in rental arrears. But she had city FEPS. She had a city FEPS voucher. She came from the shelter system and went into this nonprofit building, and no one realized on the DSS end or on the guardianship end that her rent to payments, which were the city's responsibility, were not being made. And so she consistently ends up, like, this has happened to her several times, not to that extent, but where she's in arrears and now she's being threatened with eviction. And she doesn't really understand, right, like the significance of that. But had she not come into that office that day, and I had not taken the time to sit there with her and try to figure out like what exactly, if there was an issue, because people just dismiss folks that have mental health issues. They're like, they're making it up, or that's what they think, or whatever. Sometimes that's true, but a lot of the times I find that it's not, right. Like, there's a lot of lucidity in those manic episodes, and they're able to articulate like what the needs are. And she was in trouble. She was about to get evicted, and there were other things that are not necessarily DSS related. But I just wonder if DSS is responsible for managing the city FEPS voucher program and making the payments to the landlord. How does nobody realize that this person is delinquent by that much? Because that means that her rent wasn't paid for maybe more than a year. Like, who's responsible for capturing that?
So, as we shared in previous testimonies, there are a number of notices that go out to the participant in the City VEPS program. Month 8, the first notice go out. There's another notice at month level that you need to renew. You have to annually renew.
A renewal issue. She was fine. Actually, there were two things that we dealt with that day: the arrears, and that her renewal was about to expire. Well, she had until such and such date to renew, or her voucher would expire. So if she had an active voucher, she almost lost it. Thank God she came to the office, and and Commissioner Parks was really, really, really good, and helped us figure it out. But that that scares me, right? Because if we have 44 people, it doesn't seem like a lot of folks, but if those 44 people end up back in shelter and we're paying more money to house them there because somebody didn't pick up the fact that their rent wasn't being paid, which is, right, our responsibility. How does that happen? And how do we make sure that it does not happen? Like, what mechanisms do you have in place that ring that alarm and say, hey, you know what? Like, these checks haven't gone out. Because landlords are complaining to us that they can't get in contact with anybody at City FEPS. And so then the landlord is trying, and I've actually been very impressed as I've gotten a lot of, good landlords that are like, I want to keep these people, but I'm not getting paid and I can't reach anybody, And so I have to then go to the commissioner and say, hey, could you address this? And it does get addressed. But if I wasn't in the middle, then what happens?
Thank you for that, council member. I can share with you how the program runs. Once a person move out to permanent housing, they're out in permanent housing, and so is basically responsible for making sure that their rents are being paid.
Not their portion, your
Yes.
portion.
No. And if our portion, if there's something wrong, we may not know because once you move out, the payments are ongoing and automatic. And so I can't work the individual case because I don't know all the nuances or what happened, but that shouldn't be the experience. Once you've moved out and the case is processed and approved, the checks, the payments are automatic. As you know, the payments are made up of, it could be 4 payments, right? So depending on your income. So there's the subsidy portion that the subsidy the government pays. And if that household is on cash assistance, then there's 2 payments that they're getting the beginning of the month, the middle of the month. And if they have a direct share, they're responsible for that direct share. So oftentimes when we get situations like that and we're reviewing, there's a number of reasons what could have happened. When there's an issue with the subsidy, I don't know, say something happened, the system went wrong, we are able to correct that. Part of the information that we're sharing with our active participants and, you know, folks moving out of shelter or leasing up is that the landlord can't just evict you. And so, you know, they have home-based information that they can go to home-based to help them.
But this is this is the nuance that I'm talking about, right? We're talking about an individual who is an older adult with a serious mental health issue who was placed in a nonprofit building with no supportive services because supposedly they have a guardianship program that's supposed to be overseeing all of this stuff, and they're obviously not overseeing anything. So we're now the intimate. You know who was cleaning her house last week, right before Thanksgiving, doing a heavy duty cleaning? Me. I spent all day there with her because she wouldn't let anybody else in there. And when I got into that apartment, I was horrified that she hadn't even been able to take a bath in God knows how long because you couldn't even get into the bathroom. And, you know, the landlord is, you know, like, I get it. The landlord is frustrated because they're like, you know, this person is posing a fire, risk. They are, you know, there are roaches coming out from the door. It's not her fault, right? We're letting her down, like the people that are there to help her. But in this case, what I'm saying is, and you may not have the answer for me, but what I want you to take back is to say, you know what, council member, that should not happen. We should be tracking and making sure that the payments on our end are being made, because it sounds like victim blaming, and you know, then we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that on the government side, whether the tenant decides to pay their rent or not, their share or not, that they have to respond for, right, on their own. And ironically enough, that's the only thing that the guardianship program was doing, you know, consistently, was paying her share of the rent. But DSS had not been paying that share for a really long time, and it concerns me that nobody noticed, because I'm assuming that there's a budget, you know, somebody's responsible for making sure, like, there has to be some sort of audit, right? Like, how are the payments being made? Are they being made timely? How many went out late? Because if you've never been threatened with eviction or lived in a shelter, that experience is very traumatic, right? You can't sleep if you feel like you're not going to have. Most people don't understand that a landlord cannot lock you out without an official order from a judge, right? Landlords will use all type of tactics to scare the living daylights out of you so that you self-evict. They don't understand that. We do. So we have to try to figure out, how do we facilitate that information getting out to folks, but also how do we recognize when an individual just doesn't have the capacity to understand that, and what protections are we putting in place. And in this case, it was something simple because it didn't even have to do with her mental health. It had to do with the failures of the agency to make the payments that they are obligated to make, and would have, in a sense, forced a situation had she not come to our office, where she would have ended up, you know, in housing court, and probably wouldn't have shown up because she wouldn't know any better, and would have ended up back in shelter, where we're now paying 3 and 4 times the rate of whatever rent she's paying to house her there. And on top of that, the nonprofit gets stuck with, you know, the loss of that money that they were also promised as part of the agreement, right, to house, to set aside a specific, you know, portion of those units for people coming out of shelter. So there's something, you know, amiss here. And you know, sometimes, you know, I get a little bit frustrated in hearings, because I guess naively, I just want somebody to acknowledge and say, you know what, like, I hear you, that shouldn't happen. we're gonna go back and see why it happened and try to make sure that it doesn't happen again. That's all I want.
Thank you, Councilmember. We hear you. Should not happen, and we will take that back to see,
I
dig
appreciate
deeper
that.
into that. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Mhm.
And then I know I see you have a question, Gail. You wanted to piggyback on that, or did you have a question?
I just want to say we had a similar situation. I think the hoarding is something that these guardians don't deal with. Okay, we have so many hoarders, and the guardians are not dealing with it. So yes, it's certainly an issue with the city paying, but these guardians need a kick in the butt.
They do.
Okay, and so whether it's APS or the guardian, that's also, I hate to say it, under DSS's and the courts both. But DSS has to do something about the APS program. That's another whole topic, and you had hearings on this already. So I just want to add that. The other thing I just want to add to question is, what about the staffing? Other agencies have major staffing issues. So I know there were 5 people doing inspections. I guess I wanted to know how many people are in, if there is such a thing as a FEPS unit, and or do you have vacancies? That would be my question.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. So, FEPS and city FEPS are subsidy resources. So it's not a unit per se, it's a subsidy. So again, depending on what you're eligible for, that work touches several agencies and then also the provider and then the processing. So for example, FEPS eligibility is dependent on you being an active cash assistance household member. And so, you know, your cash assistant case have to be active. You have to have a child that's, you know, under 18 in the household. And so you could be in shelter and eligible for FAPS. You could be in the community and eligible. So if you're in the community and you're moving, those applications come directly through home base to us. If you are staying, it goes through your benefit access center. If you're in the shelter, it comes through the shelter provider. So you can see it touches many different places. So there's not a FEPS unit and a city FEPS unit.
Okay, but are there units, are there vacancies in, you don't have to tell us now, but could you get back to the chair as to whether there are vacancies in those 3 or 4 divisions that you mentioned? I can't believe they're not. This is a whole to-do because obviously 23 days, 15 days, more staff means less time for the process. So that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I was asking. And also 44 people from July to September, but it's, I guess, would be good to know were there more for the fiscal year last year, but also could you get back to the chair about just some knowledge as to what happened with those 44? Obviously, in some cases, probably beyond your control.
Right.
But I think it would be helpful to have that information so that we can address it, can help you to address it. After 44 is quite a few for that time period, I have to,
So
in my opinion.
To clarify, it's a monthly cohort, so the number is fluid. So I gave you the number for that quarter one.
No, I understand.
So, yeah,
I understand, but we can all help with these. I mean, we did stop one eviction also for the same reason. When I kick them out when they bring their papers. Put those papers back in the bag, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one final question regarding the renewal process. So I had I asked because I had a case like this the other day where an individual was reaching out to me because their renewal was up. They had submitted all of the documents and they had not heard back. And so the landlord was freaking out because they're like, are you going to get reapproved or not? And it's a fair question. And, you know, as a, you know, rent stabilized residents will, you know, tell you like landlords have a responsibility to let you know what's going to happen, right? With your lease renewal, at least 3 months ahead of time so that you have time to prepare. And I am just concerned that if the renewal takes effect July 1st, that we're not letting the individual or the landlord know until July 2nd, you know, or June 30th. How far in advance does that work?
Thank you for that question, council member. So there's a couple of processing around the renewal. We've leveraged technology also on that end. About a good third of participants get auto renewed. So that's done at month 11. as soon as the renewal is processed, those notices go out to the client and also go out to the landlord. The other place where we've leveled technology is that applicants can submit their renewal via Access HRA. That goes directly to the unit that's processing manually the renewal. And so we're continually monitoring the timeliness of that, but we're doing pretty well. We're getting those done. Again, if the renewal don't come in on time, we have flexible renewal policies, and so that within a 2-year period, we can easily get you back on the program, and we will pay back whatever the arrears for the subsidies are. So.
But is somebody communicating with the landlord during this time? Like, I think that's the problem, is that there's a lot of space in between, and landlords are becoming increasingly frustrated. And you know why this is important? Because when the advantage, you remember that, Gail, the advantage voucher was out, which was a hot mess, you know, and all of those landlords ended up, you know, losing out on, you know, that money, and all of those folks ended up going back into shelter. It left a really sour taste in, you know, those landlords' mouths. And so that's why they're reluctant to accept these voucher programs, whether they legally can or not. I understand that. You know, I mean, that was a big hit. And so we have to make sure that we are doing better about communicating, and not just saying, well, you know what, if you lose this, okay, because you can come back and then we can fix it later. There's a lot that, you know, there's a consequence to that, right? Like there's a domino effect, if you will, that occurs once a person loses that, you know, consistency, the comfort, the protections, you know, that come with knowing that you're gonna be able to afford to stay in this house, in this apartment. And so I find that a lot in government, and it's ironic that I ended up in government because, I'm often frustrated with it because we keep saying the same thing. Well, we'll come back, you know, oh, don't worry about it. Because there's so many people in the system that it's hard to give that individual attention. But if we really took the time to just kind of step back and take a better, look and create a unit that specifically addresses, considering the fact that the commissioner has stated many times that this is the largest subsidy program in the city.
Yeah.
It's the second largest. I think that merits having its own division.
I wanted to add that. I was waiting for you to give me a chance, but yeah, the reorg that we just underwent in the fall has an arm of operations, stakeholder outreach and engagement. We are going to be focusing on really tightening up and really expanding our landlord engagement and operations. Obviously, they're an important stakeholder that cannot be left behind in these conversations. Like, we spent a lot of time looking at processes and technology, but this is a stakeholder that we cannot, this work is not possible without them. So, strengthening that work is going to be critical into 2026. And technology is going to help us, as well as just making sure we have good customer service.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, because the knife cuts both ways. We need the landlords too, right?
Yeah.
We need to hold them accountable when that's necessary. But for the most part, they're good actors and they're trying in good faith, right, to house folks. But they also have expenses that have to be paid. Then they should be paid on a timely basis, and they should know, with enough time whether or not they're going to,
Be in or out.
be in,
Yeah.
be in a little bit of trouble. All right. Does any other questions? No. Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Speaker, I
yes.
have one just update on affordable housing services. There have been 835 units opened within this administration. 300 more have been awarded and are anticipated for calendar year 26. But we value this program immensely and think it's another great opportunity to kind of see this program grow into the future.
Perfect. No, I love that. I love that for you. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. And again, it's been, my distinct pleasure to work alongside all of you. And I wish you all success as well. And I know we'll see each other around. But thank you for making this experience, so much better.
Indeed.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a very, very, very 3-minute break, restroom break. So anybody that needs to use the restroom. And then we're going to call up Kezzy Thomas, Noan Cohen and Elizabeth McKee. So as soon as we get back, if you're in the room, you're next.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, okay. I wasn't. Thank you so much. You're the bestest. What hearing? What hearing was it? Ah, I don't even feel bad now.
Maybe.
Sorry. Oh, hold on. We're gonna add Diana Ramos and Calvin Michael. Yes. Okay. We can begin this.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Good to see you, Councilmember Diana Ayala. Okay. Hello, my name is Calvin Michael, and I'm a member of the Safety Net Activist Group of Activist Project, which is through the auspices of the Urban Justice Center. I'm here to speak about my experience accessing the City Fest voucher. I was residing at the Clark Thomas Men's Shelter when I first started the process of trying to get housed. It's a very difficult and draining experience. The staff at the shelters are not properly trained at all. My housing specialist was not helpful and constantly canceled our appointments. Neither the so-called housing specialist nor any other shelter staff explained that my options were for getting housed or not how to access the City Fest voucher or how to use it. I had to figure all of it out on my own. There was no adequate communication or information provided. These delays in just getting the proper support to get out of the shelter are a huge systematic problem. I've heard so many people discuss these problems and delays. I should not have been stuck in the shelter for 3 years. The staff of the shelter are not able to support everyone who are suffering in these horrible conditions. When I should have been housed and able to move out, there's no dignity in living like this in these unsanitary and unsafe conditions. And also was without Wi-Fi or air conditioning at the time with that shelter. Okay, now these administrative problems for folks living in the shelter and even for those of outside the shelter are not just minor problems. They're extremely troubling and difficult. These delays take a huge toll on our mental, physical, and emotional health. Once I received the voucher, I was also given and clear instructions on what I actually owed and what the discrepancies I was supposed to pay. Unfortunately, my source of information came from my future landlord. I didn't find out about the exact amount what I needed to pay until later, after I've already got the City First voucher. I still didn't know what I had to pay. So then, when I finally got the exact number, it was relayed to me, which was relayed to me earlier, so I could make my first payment. Okay, not enough can be said to address these issues. I'm making it my business to bring them to you now, to your attention to fight for them. As a person who faced homelessness for 7 years and spent 3 years in New York City shelter. Even though I'm an Ivy League graduate, I went to Columbia University in New York City. No one is safe from facing homelessness. The truth is that we're only 1 or 2 paychecks from being homeless. And matter of fact, I can correct it. 1 paycheck, not 2, right? So, okay, we're 2 paychecks from being homeless. And to wrap it up, the Mayor Adams has failed to give homelessness folks the right while he was in office. So now what we're waiting for is Mondani administration. We're looking forward for new FEPS expansion laws to be implemented finally after 2023 when they're voted in. The Mayor-elect Mondani comes into office in January 2026, okay? So these new laws are also meant to get people out of the shelter faster. Housing is a dignity. Housing is a basic right. We need to expand access to housing, provide the meaningful support that is needed for homelessness folks, both in shelter and on the street, to get out and get into dignified housing right away. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And City Fest saved my life. Thank you. Very grateful.
Good afternoon to the city council that are left and those that should have stayed. But thank you for allowing me to bring forth my experience of residing in the shelters and the process it took for me to get out. So let me introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth Mackey, and I used to work for Administration of Children's Services for 29 years, and I was also 7 years in teaching. Unfortunately, in January of 2019, going to a training at ACS, I literally died on a train, and for a whole year, I had to rehabilitate myself. I couldn't see, couldn't talk, couldn't have malfunction on my left side. So because I was a liability to the city, and my doctor said that I had, 99% brain damage, that I could no longer work in a stressful environment. So that broke my heart. So with that being said, I personally had to do I call it an early retirement, because of the fact that I already did my share of working for the city. I found myself using all my savings, trying to keep up on my rent, still, being there for my family. So here I go in the year of March 2022. I had to come to terms, because I couldn't do it no more, to go into the shelter. I didn't know what that was about, and it took a toll on me. But I did my own research to find out what that process was like, because I'm a type of person, I did not like to actually be wasting no one's time, and I don't like my time to be wasted because my time is very valuable like everybody else. So I did a lot of research. So after I got all my documents, got my COVID test, my TB test, got all my main paperwork, I had to literally pray to literally force myself to get into the shelter system, not knowing what that was going to be like. So when I went in there on March 16th, 2022, I was scared. I seen how people was being treated from day one. And I was like, wait a minute, these are shelters are supposed to be where people come in temporarily for safety, not to be actually abused by people that's supposed to be working in these shelter systems. But because of my faith and my belief, that I knew that I had a purpose of being there. I knew when God brought me back to life to figure out my purpose. And my purpose was there to expose the things that was going on in those systems. So I had to learn these systems. I had to learn what DHS was. I had to learn what DSS was. I had to learn about HRA, because even though I worked for the city in foster care, I used to refer parents to these systems, but not knowing about those systems because I didn't really need them, because I was working a good job and everything, providing for my family. So here I am, had to walk the walk, had to see what these systems was about. So during that course of me going there, they said, wait a minute, you have to wait until 90 days to get a voucher. I said, 90 days? I was like, no, I'm not waiting 90 days. I'm like a fair woman, and I'm like, I'm a child of God, and I'm like, I'm not waiting. That's crazy when some people been there for 5, 10, some longer. Why are you there that long? What is going on with the system? So I provided the worker with everything that was needed. And she like, Miss Mackey, you still need to be there. I was like, no, I do not. I said, I'm entitled to why I'm here. I need a voucher. This waiting period has to stop. So within 6 weeks, praise the Lord, that I received 2, not 1, 2 vouchers. I received a City Fed voucher within 3 weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, I received an emergency housing voucher. So I had the leverage, but here we go. The process of being processed over again. The paperwork. How you don't know how to spell my name. Out of all this time I've been in there. Been in the shelter for 1 year. They was getting my name spelled wrong. Because I'm disabled, they was submitting the paper that Social Security give you. Instead of you submitting my amount that I get, you were submitting the back part of it. So there's the little tactics that these workers was doing. And I had to let them know, stop messing with me. Stop doing this. Because you got to remember, DHS give them a packet and they give them a checklist of what's supposed to be entailed in that packet. So for that being said, why are you submitting or not submitting my stuff when you got all my stuff in my record? So that was a problem. So even though that I waited for a year, and because of me being vocal, I was retaliated from one of the shelters that they requested me to move, because I wasn't just there to advocate for myself. I started advocating for others, because if you don't know your rights within the shelter system, they can take advantage of you. So what I did was that I adhere to their rules, because I didn't have a choice, because I didn't have nowhere to go. Understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, there are things that need to be critiqued with these systems, all the systems. Housing is a human right. That's what we say. That's what we chant. But when they understand what a human is, let's get that straight. We're all human beings. We are spiritual beings. When they get that right, then they would know that housing is a human right. Housing is very important, as it's stated in Isaiah 58, 6 through the 9th chapter. Understand that we're supposed to shelter the wandering. We're supposed to feed the hunger, clothes the naked. But those are the biblical principles that people tend to not follow. And it's a shame to understand that we here who have experienced, understand the policies. Thank God for policies. Thank God for bills. But you did not experience what I experienced. And even though that I had the grace of God on my side, I still, with that city that I lived in, experienced a horrible of just being in a shelter, waiting and waiting for a voucher. And it was wrong. And the whole thing is it's still wrong. Because people like me is still there fighting. And people are dying. See, the one thing that y'all didn't ask, how many people died by waiting for a voucher? And it's thousands of people like me that waited and they died. So what is the city doing? What are they failing? They're failing us. They're using us as commodity. Why? I didn't ask. I didn't ask for none of this. But if this is my journey to free my people, that's what I have to do.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for having me here this morning. My name is Kizzy Thomas, and I'm here to speak on why we must stop playing games with housing. Because the delays in the Department of Social Services process are not just numbers. They are years of a person's life, like my sister here said, lost to instability, fear, and uncertainty. My life-altering journey into homelessness reluctantly began in March 2023. I had been a full-time business owner here in New York, but after bankruptcy and facing serious health issues, I entered shelter for the first time. For 5 months, DSS continually marked me ineligible for shelter because they could not complete an inspection, even though all of my paperwork was correct. During that time, I faced rude treatment from the staff, unsafe conditions, and no path forward. So I left and moved in with my then fiance. When I re-entered shelter, I was 4 months pregnant and escaping an increasingly abusive relationship. Once again, DSS took another 5 months just to determine eligibility for shelter. My pregnancy became high risk, and with no support, no voucher, I returned to my daughter's father trying to survive. The third time I fled for my safety, I re-entered family shelter again and it was not treated as domestic violence. This time I was approved for shelter quickly, seemingly because of the domestic violence, in just 10 days, but then waited another 5 months for an approved CityFeds shopping letter. I searched everywhere for housing and was blessed to receive an approval through Housing Connect. But at the final step, I was hit with income discrimination. I appealed twice, both times denied. By then, my voucher had expired. I waited 2 more months for a renewal, losing apartment after apartment because I had no active shopping letter. When I finally secured a unit through HHA, I had to advocate for myself every step of the way just to move from shelter into my new home. Council members, this should not be normal. My case could have gone from entry to exit so much faster if DSS had clear procedures, consistent timelines, and accountability. Instead, what should take weeks took almost 3 years of my life. And I am just one example among hundreds of thousands. So giving honor to my faith, what carried me through my brokenness was prayer, faith, and the grace of God, expressed through WIN Advocates, the Family Action Board, and other nonprofits who became my destiny helpers when the system failed me. As an advocate, I now work with the Family Action Board under the Family Homelessness Coalition, a single mother and founder of a nonprofit Healing Spa Retreat Center. I urge you today, give families a real roadmap, enforce timelines, stop the delays, and stop playing games with housing. Human lives depend on it. My life depended on it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Noam Cohen. I'm a proud member and leader in our homelessness union at Vocal New York. Thank you, Councilwoman Brewer and Councilwoman Ayala, for hearing our testimony today. As you may have heard me say before, I currently live in a shelter myself in Brooklyn. The bills being considered today that will likely be voted on very soon get to the heart of several of the barriers that I've personally seen people in my shelter experience when trying to secure their housing. I'm 20 years old right now. I became homeless at the age of 18, fleeing a traumatic home environment. You know, I was a runaway. Well, not legally, but, and I didn't want to go into a youth shelter. Didn't think that would be a safe option. I wanted to emphasize that I speak strongly in favor of passing each of the bills that is being considered before the committee today. I sleep in a room each night with 22 roommates. I've personally seen these hoops and hurdles that so many folks in my shelter have had to jump through in order to get out. One gentleman I met, a man who was elderly, was supposed to get out in April of this year. That move-in date kept being moved back over and over and over again. This is an elderly man who's disabled, who walks with a cane, someone who in theory is supposed to be prioritized. But we all know that the reality is far different. There are minor paperwork errors easily fixable that kept him in another month, and then another month, and then another month, many of them on the part of HRA. These bills seek to change that. And I also wanted to talk about my good friend Jimmy, a loyal Vocal member, someone I got to know in my shelter, someone who slept right next to me in this room of 22 people. He had a lot of health issues. He was diabetic. He suffered a heart attack a few months ago in the shelter. And his caseworker called an ambulance for him and saved his life that day. And unfortunately, just a week or two ago, I heard news that after he had moved out, I got to visit him a few weeks ago. Very shortly after moving out, he's dead. He's dead because he wasn't provided the services that he desperately needed after getting out of shelter. He was pushed out because they knew he was a liability. They knew that if he didn't die in his new apartment, that he would die in shelter. This system far too often discards people like my good friend Jimmy, a friend that I really tried to help with a lot of things. And I only wish that I had that opportunity to help him with the things I promised to help him with. The last time I saw him, I told him that to please, don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of our folks at Vocal about anything that he would about anything that he needed help with. And I didn't end up getting that opportunity. Jimmy was failed by a system that discards people the moment that the moment they're in dire need. Whether you're a runaway youth or whether you're elderly and disabled and in need of basic supportive services, he needed an aide. He needed an aide to accompany him at all times, but the shelter decided to put him in a place on his own, alone, and he died alone. And that's the part that's so devastating to me. I've been grieving for this, for this past week since I found out. And, I've been inconsolable at times. I've tried to remember the good memories that we made. We made a lifetime of memories within the past year. And it wasn't good enough to save his life. This system kills people. This system kills people not just by denying them housing, not just through the hoops and the hurdles, the endless hoops and hurdles that I've seen so many people have to go through, whether it be voucher discrimination, whether it be the paperwork hurdles, whether it be people's basic services that people need, mental health services. He had a developmental disability as well, in addition to being diabetic, taking multiple medications, and having experienced a heart attack, got a stent put in just a month before he died.
Cohen, sorry.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that someone in my shelter who's diabetic just last night had a seizure and had to be taken away by paramedics. He did not want to go to the hospital. Actually had to be forced there because he was, his blood sugar was very high. And it definitely reminded me of my good friend Jimmy. And it goes to, and staff wasn't even, staff told me they were not even allowed to touch a client to put them on their side when they're having a seizure, which is proper protocol. I had to do that this morning to just, until the paramedics arrived. And thankfully he was all right, but many people are not all right. People die due to the failures of the system to provide people's basic needs. And I want to thank both of you, frankly. Deputy Speaker Ayala, you have given so many people the opportunity, people whose stories, have far too long been ignored by people in positions of power, the opportunity to share their stories. And I can't thank you enough for that. You have amplified the stories of people who are in the most dire need, and you have been quite a fighter throughout your time in the council for people who are in need of housing, for people who are in need of services. And we're gonna miss you on this council. But I know that there are people who will carry on that fight, and we will make sure that Councilwoman Brewer, many others, not you? Yes, you. Yeah, I know you. I know you will. And we're gonna keep standing up for our communities. The best way to honor my friend Jimmy is to demand accountability from the system, whether it be providers that happily take money from the cities, that happily profit off of people like Jimmy despite nonprofit status. And then, kill those very people through their negligence. Whether it be holding landlords accountable who deny people housing due to the stereotypes of who people believe homeless folks are. The best way to change those narratives is to amplify the stories of people who are directly impacted. And we understand that very well here at Vocal.
Thank you.
And I want to say we'll continue fighting for a society in which people get the housing they deserve, the services they deserve, and where everyone in this great city gets to live in dignity. And I look forward to working with the council and the incoming mayor to do just that. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you again, fellow Diana. I'm no stranger to testimony, and I usually have a statement, and then I end up throwing it out anyway. But I'm going to read part of my statement because it does impact. As you know, I'm a member of the Safety Net Activist Group. I've been doing this for quite a few years and have actually decided to make it a career path in case Trump decides that my SSI don't deserve it anymore. So at least I have something on my resume. But so I'm going to be going back to school, and it's all because of doing this work. Because I want to be advocating for my community. I'm here to talk about my experience of accessing city FEPS while in shelter. So I was a resident of a women's shelter in the Bronx when I first applied. I got lucky, and I was in during the pandemic, so lucky for me. But the process for me was very draining and difficult. New to the city, didn't know what the heck was going on. I came from no services, Florida. I got all my paperwork in. That wasn't the issue. I'm very on top of that. But the issue was the long wait for approval, waiting to receive my shopping letter, and then the process of finding an apartment with little to no guidance or support. Yes, we did have a housing specialist, but they were like, no, you should go into, the special housing, because I had two different vouchers. I had City FEPS and the other one, and supportive housing, but they wanted me to room with someone. I have OCD. I don't room with anybody. Touch my stuff, it could be a big problem. So I said, no, I need my own place. And that wasn't working fast enough, so I went and did City FEPS. Again, trying to find an apartment. Out of desperation to get out of the shelter and exhausted from looking, I signed a lease with a company that does not care, doesn't take care of their buildings, nor do they do repairs in a timely manner. We have talked about Wavecrest before. It's Wavecrest. So if you're looking for an apartment, don't go to Wavecrest. I put that on the record. I was unaware of these issues at the time I signed my first lease. The apartment looked nice. Yeah. So lipstick on a pig's ear. After the apartment inspection and securing a lease, I waited an additional 3 weeks to 3 weeks for checks to be cut, given, and cleared before finally getting my keys to where I could move in. I was suffering in shelter for 18 months, and that's a short term compared to some others. But they were horrible conditions. I suffered from chronic illness, chronic pain, and CPTSD. There was no dignity in my living situation. The food was not adequate to provide me the nutrition I needed for as a diabetic with specific dietary needs. My mental health suffered from being triggered by constant fights and a lack of a place where I could completely decompress in silence when overwhelmed and or triggered. My anxiety was, there was no privacy. My overall health took a downward spiral. I'm just recovering from that now. I shouldn't have to look like that. No one should have to live like that. I should have been housed and moved out and be able to live on my own and continue my healing process. There isn't always enough staff at these shelters to support everyone. The staff is overworked and under extreme backlog due to HRA delays in processing applications and providing shopping letters in a timely manner. Administrative delays for folks living in shelter, and even those of us outside of shelter, are not just minor delays, they're extremely troubling. As we heard before, they took a toll on myself, having to figure out what was going on. Having to wait months for a shopping letter, finding an apartment, only to lose that apartment because HRA took too long to approve the lease or cut the checks to the landlord, and then having to start that process all over again. That is a hamster wheel I no longer want to be on. I am now looking for an apartment again because my living conditions are horrible. It's disheartening, depressing, and most of all frustrating. People need their own space. DHS and DSS needs to stop with the excuses and gaslighting. As the new administration comes in January, we all hope that they prioritize fixing these issues. Mayor-elect Mamdani promised us the expansion laws implementation since Adams decided that his cronies were better off than those of us New Yorkers. But we're going to hold him accountable, hold his new administration accountable. I'm gonna miss you as Deputy Speaker, and you heard my story for so long. I've also had friends who died a few months after leaving shelter, and a few years after leaving shelter. And they were in shelter 2, 3, 4 years. I got lucky, and the only reason why is because I advocate for myself. And now I'm taking my work from what I learned to do for myself as someone healing from massive traumas, and I'm putting that work towards community because it's important. And I am tired of hearing excuses. We're not prepared. We don't have those numbers. The gaslighting. I'm not even going to say from who, but we all know the gaslighting. That is abusive. We are being abused. We've already been abused. We're already traumatized. Homelessness is traumatizing. Eviction is traumatizing. Coming to New York and being abandoned at Penn Station, traumatizing. We don't need that. We need a strong safety net, especially after all this federal nonsense. We need to take care of our New Yorkers. We are a melting pot of many different communities. And I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to find an apartment before my shopping letter expires. I need to. I have pests. I have roaches. I have mice. I already have to replace about 95% of everything in my apartment, including clothes, bedding, and appliances, toasters, coffee, very important coffee. So this is not fair. My apartment passed inspection but I'm still waiting for 2 outlets in my living room area and 3 GFIs, 1 in the bathroom and 2 in the kitchen, to be replaced. That was in 2021. They said they would have them replaced prior to me moving in, and they've never gotten replaced. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak, and I wish you the best, and I'm going to miss seeing your face and being the other Diana in the room. But I know that we have Councilwoman Brewer on our side, and I will gladly, I'll be glad to work with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming to testify. I always say that the best advocates are those with lived experiences, and things happen for a reason, right? Sometimes we don't appreciate it, and it's a lesson that we don't want to have to learn, in the way that we do. But I myself, have my family was in shelter when I was 5 years old due to a fire in my building, and ended up going at that time to a tier 2 shelter, just like 3 blocks from where the fire occurred. So I stayed in my community, and I benefited from like brand new bedding and cutlery and utensils, new pots and pans, new pillows, um, and a clean, safe environment. And then I moved across the street. Like within 7 months, we were approved for Nycc across the street. So we tic-tac-toe in the same neighborhood, and the benefits of that, I can tell you, were incredible. But then I also, like you, when I was 17, I emancipated myself and ended up in shelter with my son. I was a teenage parent. He was 1 year old, and remember being in a congregate setting with him, having to sleep with 2 other families that were very noisy. And thankfully, there was another um, resident at that shelter whose apartment, I say apartment because she turned her room into an apartment. It was gorgeous. Everybody would go there when they would do inspections. They would go to Belen's room, and she had like a cut from here to here. But she, her 2 children, and they took her roommate out because I think they had the chicken pox, and she was like, "Please, would you room with me because I want to pick who comes in," and she made that experience, yeah, livable. It was I was able to tolerate it. Um, but then I left, and I didn't realize that I had been approved for Section 8, and so I ended up losing my Section 8 subsidy opportunity because no one forwarded that information to my new mailing address. And I didn't know. I was waiting for a number of years before I realized that I didn't have it. And so, I say that to say that the reason I got into the work that I'm in is because having been on the receiving end of a lot of these city safety net programs, which actually, and I don't want to poo-poo it all the way because they are life-saving for many of us. And I have a lot of really good things to say about those programs as well. But there's a lot that we could fix, and just the overall insensitivity, I think, is one of the things that always comes to mind from those people that were responsible for making sure that I felt safe in an environment, and that I left with all of the information that I needed to be able to have that peace of mind that I needed. Because sometimes you don't have the answer and you don't have a solution, but I can tell you and I can walk you through what that experience of going into a shelter is going to feel like, it'll make it that much easier on you because you're not going in blind. You know that it's not going to be the prettiest, it might not be the prettiest environment. You know that you may need to bring a snack because there may not be food available. That you may not be placed in a permanent place right away, that you may have to, go somewhere else overnight. And that helps, right? For me, a person like me, the information it makes all the difference in the world because I know what to expect. And so when people come to my office, and I've had a couple of instances where I've had to suggest, that a person go into shelter because they had no other alternative. I walk them through that experience, and I am very honest about it. Because I want them to visualize it and I want them to walk in there prepared. But then I also make it my business to let those individuals know that once they're in the system, I'm not going anywhere. They can always come back, and then we can work to try to keep them in their local community if possible. But we can also help them, right, with the next part of their journey. And and so because I didn't find that in all places, I decided to go into the social services field. And so I think when people appreciate my honesty, which I get from Gail, she's also been my mentor, and that it comes from a place of genuinely wanting to change a system that I have way too much experience in, and sometimes I wonder if it's a cosmic joke that all these things happen to me. But I'm like, but then I am grateful that I was also gifted with the platform to be able to inform change and redirect funding and create policy that actually changes the lives of people like us. And that's what you all do, right? When you come here and you testify and you share your stories and you share those experiences, you use your platform to shed a light on a subject matter that many people don't want to talk about. So I want to thank you all. I will miss you as well, and hopefully, we will, see each other. I don't plan to go away, that easily. Um, but I think I still have a lot to share and a lot to contribute, but so do you. And I want to thank you for, your dedicated time and services and for wanting to make a difference, because that's a big deal. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm calling up my next panel. Robert Desir, Allison Wilkie, Graham Horn, and Alexandra Dougherty. I love this. Christopher Mann? Well, yes.
Good morning, Chair Ayala and members of the General Welfare Committee. Thank you for holding this oversight hearing on the City FEPS program. And we also want to thank you for your leadership over the past few years in advocating and championing the rights of people who need to access affordable housing, people who are in shelter. We really enjoyed working with you. We're sad to see you leave and wish you well in your future endeavors. My name is Robert Desir. I'm a staff attorney with the Legal Aid Society, testifying on behalf of Legal Aid and also for Coalition for the Homeless. So as the City Council, the State Controller, and others have documented, persistent problems in the design and administration of City FEPS continue to delay access to stable housing. We support the full set of recommendations in the Council's report, Administrative Challenges with City FEPS and Solutions to Streamline Access to Vouchers, and we strongly support the 5 bills being heard today. Specifically, we support improving application and renewal access through online forms, providing clear confirmation notices, streamlining and prioritizing inspections, requiring reporting on the time it takes to move in, and setting timelines for DSS to decide City FEPS applications. In addition, we urge 4 key changes. First, we encourage the administration to fully implement the 2023 City FEPS reforms and to prioritize households facing evictions from affordable housing who could preserve that housing with a subsidy. Second, the process to obtain a shopping letter must be simplified. Households are currently required to repeatedly document income changes that do not affect eligibility. Under the rules, income needs to be verified only twice, once to establish eligibility for a shopping letter and again at final approval. Requiring constant updates burdens working families, especially hourly workers, and creates unnecessary delays. Third, we strongly oppose the elimination of the unit hold policy. I'll try to wrap up quickly. And finally, we urge the city to repeal the rule requiring households with earned pay to pay 40% of their income after 5 years. This will destabilize families and push them back into shelter. We support legislation capping the tenant contributions at 30%. We would like to see some flexibility for households that voluntarily choose to pay more than 30% of their income to access higher rent apartments. That's a feature that we've used at the Legal Aid Society to assist people to get into housing. So if that can be considered, I think that would be very helpful and kind of keep people in a position where they're not stuck to the 30% in instances where it would help to go beyond that. So these changes would streamline the program, reduce shelter stays, and help New Yorkers access and remain in permanent housing. Thank you again for your leadership, and thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alex Doherty. I'm a supervising attorney at the Civil Justice Practice at Brooklyn Defender Services. And thank you to the council for inviting us to testify today. BDS enthusiastically supports today's bills. We're strongly in favor of expanding access to city FEPS vouchers, and in particular, reporting requirements and timeline requirements are an important step towards identifying and fixing some of the big problems in the city FEPS program. Access to city FEPS vouchers is meaningless without reforms to voucher issuance, apartment search, and the apartment approval process. So first, for our clients, both clients living in shelter and those in the community facing eviction, they continue to face significant delays obtaining city FEPS vouchers and shopping letters. For clients in the community facing eviction, they can wait 6 months or even longer for the initial approval and to get a shopping letter from Homebase. And Homebase remains severely backlogged and unable to serve clients timely, and we urge the council to ensure that Homebase is adequately staffed and resourced, and importantly, to allow other legal services providers and social services providers to compile and submit city FEPS applications to HRA. That way, all eligible New Yorkers can access vouchers quickly and avoid entering shelter. We also know that access to city FEPS vouchers is not the same thing as access to an apartment. And despite our strong source of income discrimination laws, landlords know that they'll likely not face any repercussions for failing to rent to an applicant who has a voucher because source of income discrimination remains not adequately enforced. So I'll echo what has been said before me and encourage the council and DHS to work with CCHR to enforce our anti-discrimination laws, and also to make sure that staff at Shelter and Homebase is equipped to give voucher holders the resources and tools to actually find apartments and work with landlords who accept vouchers. And I'll wrap up quickly, but I'll just encourage, in addition to today's bills, there be additional timeline requirements, especially at the initial pre-approval and shopping letter phase, so that folks who are eligible for vouchers can get that shopping letter and start the apartment search as quickly as possible. And we'll direct you to our written testimony for more detailed recommendations. And thank you for your time, and thank you, Chair Ayala, for all of your work on this.
Good morning, I guess. Good afternoon. But thank you, Chair Ayala. Thank you, Councilmember Brewer, for having this hearing today, and also just reflecting what everyone has said. Chair Ayala, will certainly miss you a great deal. The legacy that precedes you is tremendous, and I think as we were hearing from the panel before, I was just reminded of so many of the things that have changed and got better about City FEPS under your leadership, and the excitement to actually finally see those 2023 bills passed. I think we're all really looking forward to that, and I think it's really a tremendous legacy. So, just to say, we're so grateful for your unwavering commitment to improving City FEPS, you and the entire council. We've come a long way, but there's still, many improvements to be made. We continue to see families stuck in shelter solely because of preventable administrative delays. Just highlighting a couple examples from when one mom and her daughter lost an apartment after a months-long delay caused by a misspelled landlord name, a glitch in the current system, and a required rebudget. Delays so long, she ultimately lost her job, no longer qualified for the voucher, and she's still in shelter. Another mom with 2 children lost a 2-bedroom apartment because of repeated system errors, from an incorrect zip code flag to a wrongly issued voucher for a 2-bedroom apartment when she was technically only approved for a 1-bedroom, forcing her to start over more than a year and a half in shelter. So she's also still in shelter. So again, these administrative issues have these real world consequences and are just devastating for those families when they're so close to getting into the apartment and lose it at the last minute. So that's why we've been so proud to work with Councilmember Brewer's office on several of these bills, Intro 1458, Intro 1477, Intro 1459, to speed up this process, help speed up inspection times. We're also proud to support Intro 1472, Intro 1366, and Intro 1430. These bills reflect fixes our clients and staff ask for every day. And again, we're just so thankful to the council for championing these issues and really helping to make City FEPS better. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon, council members and staff. Thanks for this opportunity to testify regarding City FEPS issues. My name is Graham Horn. I'm a coordinating attorney at New York Legal Assistance Group's Shelter Advocacy and Economic Stability Project. We commend council, as we have continued to do, for continuing their push, your push, for the expansion of City FEPS eligibility, a push that is now even more critical as federal plans directly threaten to divert funding away from supportive and permanent housing and back towards shelter and other warehousing spaces. Shelter is meant to be a temporary and emergency support. It's named throughout the code as transitional housing, and yet even as there has been some improvement, the average length of stay for all residents in shelter is far too long. The bills considered today reflect council's attention and commitment to improving the functioning of the City FEPS program. We thank you so much for this, and I do want to flag as a kind of language question, both intros 1366 and 1477 use the term applicant to describe who those digital web forms would be available to and who would receive expedited review. Because City FEPS is not structured as an application that the prospective tenant submits, I just want to be sure that the language would include access to that. Having a prospective client be able to track the progress of their forms and applications, even if they are not themselves the applicant, would radically increase transparency and allow advocates like us a lot more tangible documentary evidence of what's going on in these cases, because it's incredibly opaque. And housing specialists, perhaps in theory the most essential cog in this system, are far too often, in my experience and my clients' experience, what is actually delaying these cases. We also hear from clients that there aren't housing specialists at their shelter site, or that program directors, shelter site directors are serving as housing specialists. Code section 21303 mandates housing specialists in each shelter and requires DHS to make public annual reports. There was a delinquency notice earlier this year. To the public, that report has never been made, and I wonder if council has ever received that report on housing special. I mean, it's staffing numbers, caseloads, and as Councilmember Brewer was saying earlier, without this information, it's really actually quite hard to fix any of this. We're also concerned about the functioning of the home-based offices. They're basically described as inaccessible by our clients. 6-month delays for making appointments. You can't walk in, period. Which for a system to which DSS has subcontracted enormous amounts of its City FEPS responsibilities, for it to be that inaccessible is really problematic. There's more in the written testimony, and thank you so much again.
For Chris, man, I am I use AI quite a bit for writing and listening to you, it's so clear to me that AI can't solve any huge problems. You read the Times every day, they got a million issues. However, zip codes matching to addresses, landlords' names next to LLCs, whatever, is that been discussed at all to the best? I should have asked it earlier to the administration, but to me, that's easy stuff.
I mean, I don't even think it requires AI, right? Like,
Oh,
I
you
think
could,
it's,
yeah, but if you can't do it because you're whatever reasons, help. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's absolutely a technology issue that seems very easily fixable. I think it's just about like putting the resources there. But the zip code, this is the USPS confirmed zip code.
I know.
And in current, in their system, they just had a different zip code. And we can't change it on our end. We have to put in a ticket to get them to change it. And you put in the ticket, and the ticket goes unresolved, and you request the ticket gets resolved. So it's just,
All right, so between either tech improvements or AI, that all of those should be addressed. It's not one.
Certainly.
I don't know. I love AI, but something should be addressed in that sense.
yes,
Okay.
agreed.
All right, and then I have a question also for you, Graham. The issue of the, just how do you streamline some of these things? It's really frustrating listening to your testimony. I'll read it in full. But are there some, I would say, low-hanging fruit that you would suggest in terms of some of these challenges? Obviously, spelling helps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious why a zip code match is enough to reject an entire packet. I think others have mentioned this throughout. I mean, I think staffing is a big issue. I think caseloads
I asked
are
about
way
it, but I
too
didn't get
high.
an answer.
Right, and I think as you highlight data delivery, I mean, I think there's a lot of question. I think there's a lot of there's an enormous lack of transparency. So when there are so many players involved who are responsible for different elements of submitting packages, and when any error in any piece of that package can result in a complete rejection, without a database or any sort of online system that shows piece by piece what is missing and what needs to be fixed, it's incredibly frustrating for clients because they have no idea what's going on. I think the answer was given by DSS staff here today that their case managers who they're meeting with bi-weekly are able to give them these updates. I can tell you that they aren't either able or providing. I mean, the relationships that my clients have with staff at their shelter, I mean, it's just, when they are able to make appointments and those appointments aren't randomly canceled on them, they are not provided with information. They're not treated as participants in this process. It's really, I think there's a lot of ways in which, advocates like us sitting here are able to, because we're able to go to folks that aren't ground level and get attention to matters, we're able to fix individual cases.
No, but you can't do
in a
that
system-
wholesale.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We can't help everyone that needs it.
And I think the package, when it's finally submitted, is like 70 pages of documentation. Like, you'd need to be a savant to be able to have that level of attention to detail to make sure every little piece is correct. So I think that's, another big piece. Is there a way to reduce the number of documentation and not have it be 70 pages?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure working with all of you. I thought you were gonna cry, Chris, but it's okay. it was nice seeing you all. We will now be joined by the next panel: Molly Seif, Maritza Rico, Katie Liptak, Ostasia Smith, and Basha Gerhards. Okay. You may begin. You can begin.
Hi, my name is Maritza Rico. I'm here with New Destiny Housing. First, I wanted to thank the first panel for their testimony and bravery, and I'm here on behalf of domestic violence survivors. New Destiny is the only organization in New York City solely dedicated to the solution of permanent housing for survivors of domestic violence, and we are the largest provider of supportive housing for New Yorkers impacted by domestic violence across the state. We operate the biggest and longest running rapid rehousing program for survivors in New York City, and this is a program that helps survivors with city FEPs and other subsidies find safe housing and provides wraparound services. We're also here with the Family Homelessness Coalition that submitted written testimony. We just deeply appreciate this council's efforts, especially this committee, to address administrative burdens associated with city FEPs. At a moment where federal housing funding is threatened, the city must prioritize full implementation of city FEP's expansion that was passed into law in 2023 and ensure funding. We also wanted to mention that we remain opposed to the rule change underway that increases city FEP's recipients' rent burden to 40% of their income. And we testified last month to this effect that we oppose the proposed elimination of the unit hold incentive, the HRA. Our housing navigators have gathered countless examples from survivors who access our services where city FEP's administrative breakdowns have led to month-long waits, readmittance to shelter, and at times returning to unsafe housing. New Destiny supports the intent behind the legislation package being heard today. We are encouraged by the focus on these issues. And upon careful review, we have some systems-informed edits to the bill language that speak to survivors' lived experience using or attempting to use vouchers to finance safe housing. Our comments will be developed in our written submission, and we're also in touch with Cynthia Brewer's team to hopefully help push along some of these edits. But it basically tackles some language to ensure effectiveness. For example, we want to make sure that response times that are being reported account for both the DHS and the HRA review of the applications, and also that there's a mechanism that ensures that responsibility is not deferred or blamed for delays are made to service providers. We also want to make sure that faster response times do not lead to higher application denials, which are already very high and often, as has been testified to today, due to very, very minor mistakes. We are supportive of improvements to the inspection process. Especially, we're very encouraged by allowing quick fixes to be made on the spot during inspections. We're also worried, though, that additions or integrations to the portal exacerbate some of the technological issues with it. We need the portal working effectively and being able to maintain the increasing traffic and activity before we add more to it. We also have questions about the inspection checklist and how they will interact with the existing ARC, if it reiterates or replaces it. And we'll cover this and everything else in our written testimony. We're very grateful for your time and expertise being dedicated to City FEPs. Councilmember Ayala, if I may, when I was a young legislative analyst at the DOHMH, the OPC bills were that I worked on for the first time ever was with your office, and your advocacy and your example and mentorship mean a lot to all of us. So thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Ayala and the member of the Committee on General Welfare. My name is Molly Zeef, and I'm a housing navigator at Sanctuary for Families. We're super thankful for the opportunity to testify today's hearing for the City FEPS program. Sanctuary serves over 9,000 abuse survivors and their children annually, the vast majority whom are low-income families of color. Our domestic violence shelters provide safe, confidential residence for 400 adults and children each year. My program, the Continuum of Care, assists survivors on the path to stability with rental assistance for 6 to 24 months. Sanctuary also offers legal services, case management, and career training to support survivors facing housing insecurities and homelessness. We're gravely concerned about the systematic, very long delays of FEPS and City FEPS voucher processing for our clients. We know that the Council shares many of these concerns and greatly appreciate your sustained efforts to address the issues. Sanctuary's housing specialists, case managers, and counselors work intensively to identify and secure affordable permanent housing for survivors. After the complicated process of getting a housing voucher approved, survivors struggle to find apartments and landlords willing to take those vouchers. Unfortunately, the voucher processing time often takes another 2 to 6 months, which frequently results in clients losing apartments. Not only does this impact these survivors' stability, it also damages Sanctuary's relationship with landlords and brokers. A few examples of our clients' recent experiences with FEPS are: Carolina was approved for a voucher 1 year after her initial application. There were complications with her lease, and each time it took at least 1 month to get a response to each of our inquiries. Due to these delays, an eviction case was started against Carolina, and it was only thanks to Sanctuary's housing attorneys that she wasn't evicted. Sasha was discharged from Sanctuary's transitional shelter into permanent housing with her voucher in February of 2025. 4 months later, she contacted us after receiving a rent arrears notice from her landlord. It took Sanctuary escalating the issue up the chain of command to discover it was an HRA system error. Carmen moved out of our transitional shelter in 2024 with her voucher, which paid for 3 months but then stopped payments. Carmen was threatened by her landlord to pay a balance of $11,000. She waited months to find a solution, and during this time, she experienced intense stress. Isabel moved out of shelter in 2023. After initial payments, City FEP stopped paying her rent, leaving Isabel with $4,500 in arrear. She provided documentation to Homebase and HRA, who couldn't find her in their systems. The situation is still ongoing. Despite Isabel reapplying and receiving an approval letter, she is still not receiving rental payments. Delayed voucher payments compound stress and trauma for survivors who are doing their best to recover from abuse and adjust to new lives in the community. Though our clients are not responsible for the late or missed payments, they bear the stress and potential dire consequences. FEPS and City FEPS are vital programs that make a positive impact on our city, and we want to see these programs succeed. We appreciate the Council holding this hearing and introducing the bills today to work to address these issues. However, we believe these delays are primarily the result of understaffing at the HRA and respectfully recommend that the City Council also advocate for increased HRA funding to fill vacant staff positions, which will shorten voucher processing times. We applaud the oversight efforts of the General Welfare Committee. Thank you so much for your unwavering commitment to New Yorkers in need. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Ayala and Councilmember Brewer. My name is Katie Liptak, and I'm the Special Assistant at Anthos Home, a nonprofit that helps New Yorkers move out of shelter and into permanent homes as quickly as possible by bridging the gaps between voucher holders, property providers, and government. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on the City FEPS program and the proposed bills today. In our daily work helping voucher holders, we see the challenges they face, which lead to delays, denials, and prolonged shelter stays. But we also see how impactful small improvements can be to families navigating the voucher process. The proposed bills represent exactly this type of progress. By focusing on efficiency, clarity, and accessibility, the proposed process changes will ease and speed the housing process for voucher holders and landlords alike. Still, while these bills, along with the recent changes to the process that DSS has made, while they represent meaningful progress, there's still more work to be done. Anthos Home recommends the following changes, some of which are echoed by the Family Homelessness Coalition, of which we're a member, and by some of the other advocates here today, whose testimony we also support. So we recommend also reducing duplicative inspections by addressing the inspection rules that require DHS and HRA inspections on certain units. We recommend simplifying the rebudgeting process, for example, by issuing the household share letter at the voucher package submission and allowing that income eligibility to remain valid for a year. We also recommend standardizing form updates so that changes occur only once annually, and to allow packages that are submitted with previous forms to follow the existing guidelines at the time of submission. And finally, we recommend increasing the work requirement flexibility for the City FEPS voucher by allowing documented job search hours to count towards the 10-hour-a-week requirement. Each of these changes would remove unnecessary hurdles and reduce the cycles of repeated rejections and resubmissions that we see. The impact on families trying to secure stable housing would be immediate and meaningful. We urge the Council to vote yes on the bills being discussed today, as well as to continue advancing reforms to help voucher holders access this incredible benefit and to move out of shelter and into safe and permanent homes. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to supporting New Yorkers experiencing homelessness, and I welcome any questions that you might have.
Say hi to Laura.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Chair Ayala and Councilmember Brewer for the opportunity to testify. My name is Eustacia Smith. I'm from Westside Federation for Senior and Supportive Housing, or WISHFISH. WISHFISH develops and operates permanent supportive housing for older adults with 2,500 units of housing across 31 buildings and more in development. We also operate a 92-bed shelter exclusively for older adults. City FEPS is a vital program and important part of the solution to getting homeless people housed. Often, however, the process is far too slow and too bureaucratic. We have examples where the process has taken up to a year or more to get someone into one of our vacant units. In the shelter, the process is stalled because the application is reviewed piecemeal, getting kickback for one issue at a time, and each time it is another 2-week delay. Because most of our shelter clients are on SSI, the single issue process is another huge problem causing delays for us. We have experienced long delays in the pre-clearance process because the city has rejected a package based on a small technical issue, causing a back and forth that has sometimes gone on for 6 months or longer, even though the building has previously been through a pre-clearance on other applications. In one instance, the package was rejected because when writing the name of the building, we spelled out Housing Development Fund Company, and they wanted us to write HDFC. In another instance, it was because we referred to the unit as a room rather than SRO, even though we had used that same language previously many times. At times, it's taken months just to get an inspection scheduled. Sometimes the unit fails the inspection due to a minor issue, such as a missing outlet cover, and the process gets repeated, all the while leaving the applicant homeless. At a time when we're seeing dramatic rises in homelessness, have significant shortages of available units, and are facing massive cuts federally, we need to fix these problems. Wishfish is strongly in favor of intros 1458, 1459, 1477, sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, that together would speed up the process and the time it can take from being homeless to being able to move into housing. Thank you to the committee for considering all of the avenues to streamline the City FEPS process. And to Councilmember Ayala, Wishfish thanks you for everything you've done for us and wishes you all the best.
Hello, Committee Chair Ayala, to Councilmember Brewer. I am Basha Gerhards, Executive Vice President of Public Policy for the Real Estate Board of New York, the city's leading real estate trade association. And I'm here today to voice full support for intros 1458, 1459, and 1477 regarding the management of city FEPS vouchers. Housing vouchers in New York City are pivotal in mitigating homelessness, increasing housing stability, and improving long-term health, social, and economic outcomes for adults and children. We are incredibly fortunate to have a city-funded voucher program, and one where the value of those vouchers meet fair market rents. However, New York City's current administration of its housing voucher programs is deeply flawed. Among the many challenges with the current voucher system is the fact that it does not set up the voucher holder for success in their apartment search. When competing for an apartment in a supply-limited marketplace, the voucher holder, the family, is placed at a disadvantage to others due to delays in approvals, requests for additional or redundant paperwork, and bureaucratic hurdles such as a lengthy and unpredictable inspection process. Another theme from today is the lack of follow-through once a family leaves the shelter and enters that apartment. New Yorkers deserve a functional voucher system that efficiently and effectively places families in homes and keeps them housed. To advocate for such a system, in 2024, Women in Need and REBNY co-authored the report Housing More New Yorkers to leverage our collective insights and experiences with the challenges besetting the city's voucher program. We all share a common goal, improving the voucher process and helping voucher holders find stable housing. We believe intros 1458, 1459, and 1477 will address core challenges outlined in the report in the existing bureaucracy around the processing of city FEPS vouchers, and we urge their approval quickly. The aging deadline is December 10th. We thank Councilmember Brewer, Speaker Adams, the City Council, Councilmember Ayala. It was really inspiring hearing all of the support and work you've done in this space as well today. For their continued leadership to ensure that the City FEPS voucher program is a success for tenants who need housing and the property owners who house them. Thank you once again for allowing REBNY to submit testimony in support of these important proposed bills.
I just want to say congratulations because REBNY probably wouldn't do this without Batya. Let me be clear.
Thank you.
We know we worked together for a long time. Anyway, congratulations to everybody, and this was great testimony. But it's great to have. It's unusual to have REBNY and all the nonprofits working together. Congratulations.
Okay. All right, we will be calling on two members of the public that are joining us via Zoom. Miranda De Nova and Alexis Folte.
Oop. Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is Miranda DeNovo. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm a community organizer focusing on housing and disability. I testified yesterday against the proposal about SROs, so I don't have a very formal testimony today, but I wanted to share some of what I said yesterday that I think is relevant here to City FEPS, and then if there's time, share a couple of examples from other people that I've been assisting. So in 2020, I was living in an informal shared housing situation. There were 3 of us in a 2-bedroom. When the pandemic hit, the other 2 lost their jobs and they both moved home with their families, and I didn't have anywhere to go, so I stayed. And so I went from paying about $600 a month for on a $40,000 a year salary to all of a sudden being responsible for $2,000 a month in rent on the same $40,000 a year salary. So my rent burden just skyrocketed to like 60%, and obviously I couldn't pay it. But I also made too much at the time to be eligible for City FEPS. The longer story, I wound up homeless, lived in a number of different sort of shared situations, had to make several emergency moves, but that could have been prevented if the expansion was in place at that time, and then I would have qualified based on the income requirements. At this point, I am stably housed, but sort of just barely, and do a lot of advocacy for other disabled people who are experiencing homelessness and facing eviction. And there's 2 people in particular who would benefit from the expansion who have not been able to access the voucher and really need it. The first one is a domestic violence survivor who attempted to get a placement in a shelter and was turned away due to the extent of their disability. I suspect that that is illegal, but you can't always fight things if you don't have the resources. And so due to not being in a shelter, they haven't been able to qualify for City FEPS. And then the
Thank you.
second
The time has
person,
expired.
oh, that time. Okay. Just please implement the expansion that was voted in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexis and then Amy Bloomsack.
You may begin.
Alexis?
Can you hear? I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. There
Can
go.
you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yes, we
So
can
I
hear
don't know
you.
if you could see it, but this is my mom. Her and I are your most vulnerable population, and New York City is absolutely profiting off of trauma and pain. My husband forcibly got me arrested, and for the past 2 years, I've been fighting for my livelihood. In criminal court, I won my case. I won my case. And I'm in family court right now fighting for my kids, but I'm trapped in the shelter. I am under Acacia through the Department of Homeless Services. So I support Intro 1366. It's not only the technology that needs to be updated; it's also the office equipment. I've scanned things; it's disappeared into the cloud. 413, I support. Not only that, but everybody needs to come back to the office. It's more than just sending a confirmation. Everybody needs to come back to the office. I support 1458. As far as we need more housing inspectors, so New York needs to unfreeze the hiring freeze and hire more housing inspectors. Not only that, we need to expand the housing voucher. The income limit says you have to be below the poverty level. Me and my son do not qualify for City FEPS, and I've been fighting to try to get a housing voucher, but Acacia only has a case manager here at the Brewer Hotel, and she's only doing but so much. And then not only that, but home base needs an audit. For the past 3 years, I've been on the waiting list at home base for Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities and CAMBA says that they cannot service the people of Fall Rockaway because they are understaffed and underpaid. There's burnout happening at Acacia, at CAMBA, and at Catholic Charities.
I do not want to live in a shelter for the rest of my life. And this is my mother. My mother basically died because she felt that New York City was making her relive, making me relive her situation. My mom did not get a chance to raise me and my brother and my sister. I was a foster kid through Catholic Charities, and you're not gonna fail me. I need housing for me and my son. I've lost both my mothers. I lost my adoptive mother July 7th, and I lost my birth mother
Thank
July
you. Your time has
22nd.
expired.
Just let me get one more last word. I don't want to die here. I want a life. I have a good job, and I need housing for me and my 3 kids. HPD, DHS, do you hear me? Look where me and my kids are sleeping. Look at the bed. Look what they get. Look what they're paying for $4,000. Look what me and AJ are sleeping. Look at this. Look at this. This is what HRA is paying the brewer for me to sleep on, for me and AJ to sleep on. I'm pretty sure they don't have to sleep on that. And that's my word. I do not want to be here. I want to be able to raise my kids in housing. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Amy Blumsack?
You may begin.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Deputy Speaker Ayala, and thank you to the other council members on the committee. My name is Amy Blumsack, and I'm the Director of Organizing and Policy at Neighbors Together. We organize homeless and formerly homeless New Yorkers, many of whom are voucher holders, many of whom are City FEPS holders. I just want to take 1 second to thank all of the impacted individuals who testified today. I found their stories particularly powerful and painful, and it takes a lot of courage and determination to come share your story like that. I wanted to say our organization is in support of all 5 of the bills on today's agenda, particularly Councilmember Brewer's bills. Anything that can improve the processing timeline of city FEPs, we support. I wanted to share 2 quick member stories that show why improvements to city FEPs processing is so important and this oversight hearing is so important. One of our members, after securing an apartment, waited over a year for his City FEPS voucher to be renewed. And ultimately, he lost his apartment and had to re enter the shelter system. He still remains unhoused and he never received his voucher renewal. Our members frequently report that their landlord serves them with an eviction notice because the city failed to pay its portion of the rent. Another member of ours recently went through the voucher renewal process and was rebudgeted to a higher tenant portion by hundreds of dollars per month, but wasn't notified about her new amount for her rebudgeting until 3 months after it went into effect. So by the time she got the news about the new tenant portion, she was already over $1,000 in rent arrears. And that is money that she and her family could not afford. So the need for oversight in the City FEPS administrative process is critical. We thank you for this hearing. I did want to quickly say we oppose eliminating the unit hold incentive. We support and strongly encourage the full implementation of the 2023 City FEPS expansion bills. And I also, Deputy Speaker Ayala, wanted to say thank you for mentioning the SOI bill that you passed. It was in 2020, Intro
Thank you.
1339. We
Your
helped
time has expired.
work on that bill with you. Thank you. I'll just finish up real quick. And it is important. Source of income discrimination is a major barrier for people who are trying to access apartments in the city with a voucher. And Neighbors Together is working on addressing that issue. We're working on a bill package, which is intros 1210 through 1215 to address source of income discrimination and help disincentivize the practice by landlords. So we urge the council members to sign on in support of those bills. And I just wanted to say thank you, Deputy Speaker Ayala, for all of your work in support of voucher holders and improving City FEPS and other vouchers over the many years. And we can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for the time and attention of this committee. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your invaluable input. We wouldn't be able to do the work that we do without our providers and those of you that understand the issues well. Next and final panel, Christopher Leon Johnson and Anthony D. Oh, P. You didn't put your whole last name.
Ready?
Yeah, hello. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I'm here to show support for all the bills, including Intro 1366, introduced by Councilmember Salam. But I want to make this clear that the City Council has to find a way to make it where that all the City FEPS applications and City FEPS vouchers must be discarded from the nonprofit sector and back into the full government via DSS. Sick and tired of like, if people you go to get a voucher, you got to go to Canva, Vocal New York, or what is it, Acadian Network, or any of these nonprofits, and that shouldn't be the case. I understand. I heard the stories of these those members from the first public panel when it came to Vocal New York and Safety Net, but I'm gonna tell you this right now: they're the part of the reason why we're in everybody in this situation who's trying to get a city FEP because they failed to really bring up the issue to where that those FEPs need to get taken out the nonprofit and get sent back to DSS. Now, I heard one of the panelists said that they're going to hold Madani to accountability. I don't think that's going to work because how are you going to hold Madani to accountability when one of your members is a member of the Madani transition team? And I don't think they're not going to hold Madani to accountability when he become mayor in 26. They're going to stand next to him, take pictures of him, and act like he's doing a great job for the city, which everybody know that he's not going to do the great job for the city. He's going to just keep on prolonging the problems that Eric Adams had implemented as mayor. When he was, so he's the mayor when it comes to city FEPs. Eric is pro-Remedy. I'm surprised Remedy support these bills, where at the same time that they support the city, yes, with the city, yes, will make sure that people who on city FEPs can get apartments with these new developments. They don't want those developers don't want those people who want city FEPs living in those luxury apartments that's when we built this with the City of Yes plan that got approved by the city council. But like I said, take all the way you saw this first. I said somebody got to introduce a bill to where that all city FEPs must be taken out of nonprofits and get sent back to the government sector. And like I said, this is my prediction that Madani is going to do the same job as Eric and make sure that people still stay homeless, still stay in shelters, still stay dependent on these nonprofits that do nothing for the city, still stay dependent on the homeless sector NGOs that does nothing for anybody, just line their pockets. And I know that not your predecessor, but the two previous speakers ago, Christine Quinn makes $500,000, and I'm sure that the next committee in the general welfare and the next finance committee should ask her, like, what justifies you, Christy Quinn, making over $500,000 as the CEO of WIN, where the people that live in your people that you call shelter clients, which they call shelter clients or guests, can't even get an apartment. This is my advice. Next term, there should be a bill to where that the max amount of money a executive director of a homeless-based nonprofit should make is $25,000 a year, because maybe they will know how it feels to be living on a thread, living like, oh, do we have to pay from paying rent, or we pay for our medicine? Do we pay for a car fare, or do you pay for your or do you pay for rent, or you had to buy like McDonald's? Make these executive directors, and starting with Christy Quinn, take a big 90% pay cut, because once you start making this happen, and this starts with Christy Quinn. I can't speak on the other NGOs, but this starts with Christine Quinn, who was the former Speaker of City Council, who's the ED of WIN. Unless you put her to accountability, say, look, you got to take a cut of your salary. You know why? People are like, well, you can't do it. You know why? Because there was a NGO leader named Shanda McFadden, made almost $400,000 a year, and the city forced him to take a $100,000 pay cut. So if they can do that and if they can make Shanda McFadden, a black man, take a $100,000 pay cut, they should make Christy Quinn take a $450,000 pay cut from $500,000 to $50,000 a year. So like I said, thank you, Diana, for being a great welfare chair. Everybody gonna miss you here. I'm gonna miss you. You've been a great person, and but like I said, that's what happened the most here. Has to start with Christine Quinn. Next term, somebody got put to account. Somebody got to hold her account, because once that starts. Once you put somebody had to get Christine Quinn's pay. I'm not trying to advocate mine, but once somebody calls out Christine Quinn publicly next term and hold her to accountability, including our next mayor, Saram Madani, has to call that lady out for taking that amount of money in a salary, everything's going to change. The only way we're going to really start fighting back is we got to start calling out Christine Quinn, because she's the root of the problem. A root of the problem. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me leave. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the Chair, General Welfare Committee, Councilmember Dinah Ayala. My name is Paris Dickey. I'm a formerly homeless New Yorker, and the last New Yorker in the room, who now serves as a licensed real estate salesperson dedicated to housing homeless families and individuals. I have also dedicated time to assist DSS in the past to lay the blueprint for streamlining the city voucher process. Someone mentioned earlier today about the pages being 70. I reduced them from 130 pages to 70 overall. But there are things that I've done with the city in the past. In this role as a real estate salesperson, I regularly confront and report instances of voucher discrimination, gender discrimination, and HIV status discrimination. For some reason, that's on the rise again. It's embarrassing. This is what my clients endure. Today, I'm here to testify about how inefficiencies within DSS and HRA not only obstruct my ability to secure housing for those in need, but also drive up the costs and perpetuate the cycle of homelessness. Recently, as of last week, which terminated on Monday, okay, I did everything in my power to assist the family with the special needs, by holding a unit, a 3-bedroom unit across the street from the hospital and the children's doctor for over 45 days. Despite the applicant already having submitted a rebudgeting request to update their voucher 2 months prior. 2 months prior, y'all. This is before reaching out to me. The case has remained unresolved. The landlord pulled the unit on Monday due to the length of time, and that apartment is going to go to another person, probably market rate, you know? Right now, the system is failing. City Peps has no standardized training manual. You know why? Because I did a FOIA request for the manual because I want to know why are there so many mistakes, like my counterparts that were here earlier. Why are things getting kicked back for the wrong zip code? Why are things getting kicked back because of this and that? You know why? City Peps uses a different database in the Department of Buildings. Okay? So the other thing is that no standardized manual has basically, this has delayed over 25 placements. Many for over 6 to 10 months. Landlord paperwork has been revised 4 times in 2 months, which caused massive delays, and my clients lost over 15 units. 15 people lost over 15 apartments and opportunities. I'm still trying to help them. They're yelling and screaming at me. I'm only one person, okay? You know, the next thing that I have on my list is shelters without caseworkers, or those with service issues need direct access to the mayor's home PEU unit, which also has experience processing vouchers, which they did the HCV emergency vouchers back in 2022 and 2023. That office needs to be utilized so that voucher recipients with barriers to assistance can be processed without further obstruction and bias. The next thing on my list, please don't cut me off. I keep hearing disturbing reports of sexual harassment in the shelters. I urge City Council to create a dedicated liaison unit trained to investigate and take action. Homeless New Yorkers deserve safety. Homelessness is a traumatic enough. I listen to these stories from my clients all the time. I support Intro 136, where welfare application is urged. I also urge the city to explore blockchain technology to reduce the area's waste, tampering, and the aforementioned issues that were mentioned by most of these people today. Because there's human error in all of this, but blockchain can correct it. You know, and the Mayor Adams, under Executive Order 57, already gives the city the framework to do this, to create blockchain technology, to work with social services to get this thing executed so people don't have to continue to go through this simple paperwork issue that we're experiencing that is just redundant. And people are staying unhoused for over a year. I support Intro 147. DSS needs to respond to the applications within 15 days. We need to know what's going on with these clients. You know, I support Intro 1459, which requires DSS to report the average time it takes for a City Phelps voucher holder to secure housing. Also, I want to bring this to you all's attention. I'm quite sure you know. Under New York Social Service Law 21, passed in 2024, OTDA has the authority to create a modified codes necessary to provide services and expedite, okay? New York City DSS only has to do one thing and simply request these action codes that can be recoded for City Phelps to be expedited, for rebudgeting under City Phelps to be expedited. They just have to request the codes. OTD has to comply with the law. Finally, this is personal. Brokers are not being paid. My brokerage alone is over $55,000. I've trained other agents on how to process vouchers in the city at other real estate companies. Okay? Some of them were also impacted or domestic violence survivors. This is why they want to do the work. However, non payment has pushed agents away from working with voucher holders and is shrinking housing options. This is one of the many reasons why ghosting and non assistance happens and people are being hung up on when people are calling to get assistance with vouchers. I continue to house people in spite of this $55,000 plus non payment. So far this year, I have linked well over 80 cases to homes. Again, 80. I have another 50 applications that are working on right now. So I'm asking this council to fix this, fix the training gaps, modernize the system, hold agencies accountable, and protect the people like me and this advocacy community that fight and serve our most vulnerable neighbors, irregardless of what our job titles are. Thank you so much for your time and your dedication and service to all of us. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. Is there anyone else that we may have missed? We have now heard from everyone who has signed up to testify. If we have inadvertently missed anyone who would like to testify in person, please visit the sergeant's table and complete an appearance card now. We are making a final call for Zoom registrants who have not yet spoken. Anybody? No? Okay. If we inadvertently missed anyone who would like to testify virtually, please use the raise hand function in Zoom and I will call upon you in the order of hands raised. Seeing no one else, I would like to note that written testimony, which will be reviewed in full by committee staff, may be submitted to the record up to 72 hours after the close of this hearing by emailing it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. And with that, that's it, guys. This hearing is closed.